The water is never as clear here as it appears from shore. At the edge of a reef shelf where sand meets coral rubble and tidal flow, drags suspended sediment back and forth across a shallow channel. Light fractures into drifting sheets of green and grey. Visibility shifts by the second. A patch of clarity opens, then closes as a pulse of current lifts silt from the bottom. Small fish flicker in and out of view like static. This is not the open blue theatre of pelagic hunting. It is a borderland, a mixing zone, a place where rivers deliver nutrients, reefs trap energy, and predators learn to navigate visual confusion as a permanent condition rather than an obstacle. In these waters, the tiger shark moves not as a sudden projectile from depth, but as a slow, deliberate surveyor, its wide head and heavy body sliding through gradients of temperature, salinity, and turbidity with the ease of an animal built for ecological overlap. The tiger shark's body is broader and more muscular than that of many other large sharks, with a blunt snout and faint vertical striping along its flanks that earned it its name. Those stripes are most visible in juveniles and fade with age, yet even in adulthood, they disrupt the outline of the body in dappled coastal light. Unlike a specialist that relies on high-speed vertical ambush, the tiger shark is a generalist predator, equipped with teeth that are uniquely adapted for versatility. Each tooth is large, curved, and serrated, with a distinctive notch that allows it to cut through hard materials as effectively as soft tissue. These teeth can shear through turtle shells, slice into rays buried in sand, and crush the bones of seabirds that have strayed too far from shore. The design reflects a broad dietary strategy shaped by habitats that change daily with tides and seasonal shifts in prey availability. Coastal and nearshore environments are not stable arenas. They are transitional systems influenced by freshwater runoff, storm events, and human activity. Estuaries, for example, create gradients of salinity where marine and freshwater species overlap in uneasy coexistence. Mangrove channels trap organic debris and concentrate fish nurseries, while reef edges accumulate the biological richness that attracts both prey and predator. The tiger shark thrives in these messy mosaics because it is physiologically tolerant and behaviorally flexible. It can move from coral reef to open sand flat to deeper offshore water within a single patrol cycle. It is comfortable in conditions where light penetration is uneven and where prey silhouettes blur against suspended particles. For a human entering this environment, the water itself becomes an unreliable medium. Murk limits visual awareness, distorts depth perception, and masks approaching shapes until they are close. A swimmer or diver accustomed to clear blue water may misjudge distances, overestimate visibility, or fail to detect subtle changes in fish behavior that often precede the arrival of a large predator. Many reef fish display agitation or compress their schooling patterns when a tiger shark moves through. Rays flatten themselves more tightly against the substrate. Sea turtles alter their swimming paths. These cues form part of a sensory conversation in which resident species interpret and respond to predator presence long before physical contact occurs. Humans, lacking evolutionary exposure to this dialogue, often perceive nothing until the environment has already shifted in the shark's favor. The tiger shark's sensory world is particularly well suited to such conditions. Its sense of smell allows it to track chemical signals over considerable distances, but in turbid water it relies heavily on its lateral line system, which detects low-frequency vibrations, and on electroreception, which identifies the faint electrical fields generated by muscle contractions in other organisms. In a coastal channel where currents carry fragments of scent and sediment, vision may be unreliable, but the bioelectric signature of a struggling fish or an erratic swimmer remains detectable. The shark does not need to see a clear outline to initiate an approach. It assembles a composite map of its surroundings through layered sensory inputs, integrating vibration, chemical gradients, and electrical cues into a coherent hunting strategy. The worst-case interaction between a tiger shark and a human often unfolds not in a cinematic burst from deep water, but in a zone of partial awareness. The shark may circle slowly, investigating with lateral sweeps of its head. It may bump an object to assess texture and resistance, a behavior sometimes described as exploratory. Yet the distinction between investigation and attack is narrow when the investigating apparatus consists of teeth designed to cut through bone and shell. The broad, sawing motion of a tiger shark's bite can remove large sections of tissue, and the power of its jaw muscles generates crushing force that compounds tearing with blunt trauma. The injury profile in documented cases often includes deep lacerations, shattered bones, and extensive soft tissue damage. In murky water, where orientation is already compromised, such trauma rapidly escalates into disorientation and panic. Panic itself becomes an ecological variable in this scenario. In uncertain water, where the bottom may be uneven and currents unpredictable, a wounded human struggles not only against blood loss, but against the physics of buoyancy and drag. Fine sediments stirred by thrashing limbs further reduce visibility, effectively deepening the murk. The shark, adapted to operate in low-clarity environments, retains sensory advantage. The injured individual, by contrast, may not even know from which direction the animal approached. This compression of awareness is central to the tiger shark's unsettling capacity. It does not simply inflict damage. It does so in a context where environmental instability amplifies human vulnerability. The tiger shark's broad diet contributes to this unpredictability. Unlike species that focus heavily on specific prey types, tiger sharks consume an astonishing variety of organisms. Analyses of stomach contents have revealed fish, marine mammals, seabirds, turtles, rays, and even non-biological debris. This opportunism reflects evolutionary pressure in fluctuating coastal ecosystems, where prey abundance shifts with seasons and storm cycles. From a biological standpoint, the shark's willingness to sample unfamiliar objects is adaptive in a habitat where food sources vary. For humans, however, this flexibility removes the assumption that resemblance to a particular prey item is necessary for risk. In a cluttered, low-visibility setting, a silhouette or erratic movement may be sufficient to trigger an investigative bite. Thermoregulation also shapes the tiger shark's ecological footprint. Unlike certain lamnid sharks that maintain significantly elevated body temperatures, tiger sharks are more closely aligned with ambient water temperature, yet they remain highly mobile across thermal gradients. Satellite tracking studies have revealed long-distance movements between tropical and subtropical zones, often linked to breeding cycles or seasonal prey migrations. Females may traverse hundreds or even thousands of kilometers to reach pupping grounds in shallow coastal areas, where young sharks benefit from relative shelter among mangroves and seagrass beds. These nursery habitats overlap heavily with zones frequented by humans for recreation, fishing, and coastal development. Thus, ecological overlap is not incidental, but structurally embedded in the life history of the species. The presence of tiger sharks in estuarine and nearshore systems also influences prey behavior in ways that ripple through the ecosystem. In some regions, their predation on sea turtles can alter grazing patterns on seagrass meadows. Turtles reduce feeding intensity in areas of high shark activity, allowing vegetation to recover and maintain structural complexity. This indirect effect stabilizes sediment and supports invertebrate communities that depend on intact seagrass. Remove the shark, and the balance shifts. The tiger shark is therefore not merely a consumer, but a regulator, shaping habitat through fear-mediated interactions as much as through direct predation. When considering the worst capability of a tiger shark in relation to humans, it becomes clear that the animal leverages not only physical power, but environmental ambiguity. Coastal waters are inherently variable, subject to tidal oscillations, rainfall runoff, and human-induced turbidity from dredging or boat traffic. These conditions degrade the very sense humans rely on most heavily underwater: vision. The shark, evolved to interpret a broader sensory palette, remains comparatively unaffected. This asymmetry creates what can be described as a human failure chamber, where injury and confusion compound one another. The mechanical damage from a tiger shark bite can be severe, involving crushing and tearing that destabilize both limb function and cardiovascular integrity. Yet the destabilization of perception is equally consequential. Without clear sightlines, a victim cannot reliably track the animal's position or predict a second approach. The water column becomes an opaque field in which every shadow might conceal motion. The bottom may slope abruptly, and currents may drag the injured body away from support. In such moments, the shark's evolutionary toolkit, broad jaws, serrated teeth, sensory acuity, interacts with the dynamic coastal environment to produce an event that unfolds faster than cognitive processing can fully catch up. It is important to situate this within a broader ecological context. Attacks on humans remain rare relative to the scale of tiger shark populations and coastal use. The species itself faces pressures from fishing, habitat degradation, and declining prey stocks. Slow growth and low reproductive rates make recovery from overexploitation difficult. As apex and near-apex predators, tiger sharks contribute to maintaining the structural integrity of marine food webs. Their removal can cascade downward, altering prey distributions and potentially destabilizing ecosystems already stressed by climate change and pollution. Yet the coexistence of ecological necessity and acute danger defines the tiger shark's paradox. In the same coastal waters where mangroves filter nutrients and juvenile fish mature, where seagrass meadows anchor sediment and coral reefs buffer wave energy, moves a predator whose adaptive success is rooted in flexibility and tolerance of uncertainty. The worst thing it can do to a human is not merely to bite, but to convert environmental complexity into a decisive advantage. It operates in the blurred margins between habitats, in water that resists clarity and certainty. In that space, confusion and trauma can arrive together, compressing reaction time and magnifying risk. Understanding this reality does not require sensationalism. It requires recognition of how biology and environment intersect. The tiger shark's design, its dentition, its sensory systems, its dietary breadth, emerged from millions of years of selection in fluctuating coastal zones. Humans, entering those zones with limited sensory adaptation and often overconfidence in visual awareness, step into a system that does not prioritize their stability. The encounter, when it goes wrong, is a convergence of physical force and ecological ambiguity. It is a reminder that in the mixed waters of reef edges and estuaries, the medium itself can be as decisive as the predator that moves through it. The reef slope is alive with movement, yet one figure drifts with peculiar indifference to urgency. It does not dart between coral heads like a wrasse, nor does it slice through open water with the streamlined urgency of a trevally. Instead, it hovers, inspecting surfaces with slow, deliberate turns of its eyes, lips grazing algae-coated rock as it tests the substrate. The pufferfish appears almost whimsical in motion, its rounded body oscillating gently with fin beats that seem too small for propulsion. Its expression, enhanced by forward-facing eyes and thick lips, invites underestimation. Yet beneath that unassuming exterior lies one of the most chemically sophisticated defense systems in the ocean. The danger it represents does not erupt in a dramatic underwater confrontation. It waits for a different stage entirely, one that begins when the animal leaves the sea. Pufferfish belong to the family Tetraodontidae, a group characterized by fused teeth that form a strong beak capable of crushing shells and coral fragments. This dental architecture allows them to feed on hard-shelled invertebrates such as mollusks and crustaceans. By biting through armored prey, puffers influence benthic community structure, controlling populations of organisms that might otherwise overgraze algae or compete with coral. Their feeding behavior is methodical rather than swift. They approach prey slowly, testing with precise bites that reveal both strength and calculation. This is not the frenetic predation of a pursuing hunter. It is controlled demolition executed at close range. When threatened, many puffer species employ a defensive inflation response that transforms their profile dramatically. By rapidly ingesting water, and in some cases air if removed from water, they expand their elastic stomachs, ballooning into near-spherical forms. This inflation increases apparent size and presents an awkward target to predators. The skin, often adorned with small spines that become erect during inflation, reinforces the deterrent effect. For a predator accustomed to swallowing streamlined fish, the sudden transformation into a spiky sphere introduces mechanical difficulty and risk. Inflation is not an attack. It is a warning, a visual signal that the animal is not worth the trouble. The deeper layer of defense lies not in size or spines, but in chemistry. Many pufferfish harbor tetrodotoxin, a potent neurotoxin concentrated in organs such as the liver, ovaries, and skin. Tetrodotoxin is not synthesized by the fish itself, but is believed to originate from symbiotic bacteria associated with the animal's tissues. Through ecological interaction, the toxin accumulates within the puffer's body, rendering it dangerous to consume. Tetrodotoxin acts by blocking voltage-gated sodium channels in nerve cells, preventing the propagation of electrical signals necessary for muscle contraction. In prey species or predators that ingest it, the toxin can induce paralysis while leaving consciousness intact. This biochemical precision reflects an evolutionary strategy rooted in deterrence rather than aggression. In the water, pufferfish are rarely aggressive toward humans. They may nip defensively if cornered, and their beak-like teeth are capable of inflicting injury, yet such interactions are uncommon and generally limited to close contact. The more profound risk emerges after capture. In certain cultures, pufferfish, known in culinary contexts as fugu, are prepared as delicacies. The preparation requires specialized training to remove toxic organs without contaminating edible muscle tissue. When executed with precision, the dish is consumed safely. When mishandled, the consequences can be catastrophic. The worst thing a pufferfish can do to a human unfolds not in the coral shallows, but at the moment of consumption. Tetrodotoxin is odorless and tasteless. It does not announce itself with bitterness or warning. Once ingested in sufficient quantity, it begins to interfere with neural transmission. Initial symptoms may include tingling around the lips and extremities, a subtle signal that something is amiss. As the toxin spreads through the bloodstream, muscle weakness can develop. The respiratory muscles, reliant on coordinated nerve signals to maintain breathing, may falter. In severe cases, paralysis can progress to respiratory failure if medical intervention is not immediate. The cruelty of the toxin lies in its invisibility and its precision. The victim may remain conscious while the body becomes increasingly unresponsive. From an ecological perspective, the accumulation of tetrodotoxin within puffer tissues represents a symbiotic relationship between host and bacteria. The bacteria gain a habitat and nutrient supply, while the puffer gains chemical defense. This arrangement exemplifies how marine organisms integrate microbial partners into survival strategies. The reef is not merely a collection of macroscopic creatures, but a network of microscopic alliances. Tetrodotoxin's potency serves as a deterrent not only to large predators, but also to scavengers, reinforcing the puffer's survival within competitive ecosystems. Pufferfish exhibit varied reproductive strategies depending on species. Some create intricate circular nests in sandy substrates, sculpted by males who use fin movements to carve geometric patterns that attract females. These nests, sometimes several meters in diameter, reveal behavioral complexity that contrasts sharply with the animal's slow-moving demeanor. The construction of such structures requires spatial awareness and sustained effort, demonstrating that beneath the puffer's unhurried exterior lies an organism capable of deliberate environmental manipulation. Thermoregulation in pufferfish follows the ectothermic pattern of most marine fishes, with metabolic rates influenced by ambient temperature. Warmer waters accelerate digestion and activity, potentially affecting toxin accumulation if dietary sources vary seasonally. The presence of tetrodotoxin is not uniform across all species or even all individuals within a species, reflecting differences in diet and microbial symbiosis. This variability complicates human interaction further, as visual identification alone cannot reliably determine toxicity levels. The irony of the puffer's threat to humans lies in timing. Unlike the sting of a jellyfish or the bite of a moray eel, the danger does not erupt during the encounter in the water. It unfolds later, often in kitchens or dining spaces far removed from the reef. The ocean's influence extends beyond its boundaries, following the fish into human culture and cuisine. The assumption that a fish is simply food becomes a test of knowledge and precision. The margin for error is narrow. Confidence must be matched by expertise, or the biochemical trap closes silently. In ecosystems where pufferfish thrive, their presence influences predator behavior. Sharks and large fish may avoid them, recognizing the inflated silhouette or recalling the consequences of previous attempts at predation. This learned avoidance reinforces the puffer's survival. The reef community adjusts subtly around such chemical defenses, shaping interactions at multiple trophic levels. The puffer is not a dominant predator nor a fast swimmer, yet its influence permeates through deterrence and dietary specialization. The worst scenario involving a pufferfish and a human is therefore rooted in misjudgment rather than confrontation. The fish does not chase, sting, or ram. It simply exists with tissues imbued with molecular defenses. The human decision to consume without proper preparation transforms that defense into crisis. Tetrodotoxin does not destroy tissue in a dramatic fashion. It interrupts the electrical language of the nervous system, silencing communication between brain and muscle. In a marine context, paralysis would mean drowning. On land, it means reliance on rapid medical intervention to support breathing until the toxin clears. The elegance of this chemical strategy is unsettling. The puffer does not need to escape swiftly or fight fiercely. It carries within its organs a compound capable of deterring predation at the molecular level. The reef that nurtures it supplies the microbial partners that sustain this defense. In turn, the fish's survival reinforces the stability of its ecological niche. When humans intersect with this system, the risk arises not from being attacked, but from assuming harmlessness. The pufferfish embodies a form of marine danger that transcends spectacle. It reminds us that the ocean's most potent hazards are not always delivered through visible violence. Sometimes they are encoded in tissues, activated not by contact in water, but by ingestion on land. The transformation from living reef inhabitant to prepared meal becomes the final stage in a chain of ecological relationships. In that transformation lies the potential for catastrophic error. The puffer turns consumption itself into a test of respect for marine biochemistry, demonstrating that the ocean's power can persist long after the tide recedes. The water looks harmless from the shoreline. It is ankle-deep at first, then knee-deep, sunlight rippling over pale sand as small waves fold gently onto the beach. Children splash where the surf thins to foam, fishermen cast lines from jetties, and tourists wade into estuarine mouths where rivers empty brown sediment into blue-green sea. The illusion of safety here is powerful because the land remains close enough to touch. The horizon is not distant. Buildings and trees frame the water's edge. Yet just beneath the suspended sediment and shifting thermoclines of these shallow systems moves a predator engineered precisely for this ecological borderland. The bull shark does not belong exclusively to the open ocean, nor does it restrict itself to deep coral drop-offs. It occupies the overlap between marine and freshwater systems, between tidal influence and river discharge, between clarity and opacity. It thrives in the same coastal corridors humans use most heavily, and that proximity transforms an already formidable predator into a uniquely unsettling presence. The bull shark's body is dense and muscular, with a blunt snout and broad pectoral fins that allow powerful maneuvering in tight, shallow spaces. Unlike species adapted primarily to clear, offshore hunting, this shark operates comfortably in environments where visibility may shrink to a few body lengths. Estuaries churn with organic debris. Rivers carry silt that turns water opaque. Harbors host boat traffic that disturbs sediment and generates low-frequency vibrations. In these acoustically and visually cluttered waters, the bull shark's sensory systems remain finely tuned. Its lateral line detects subtle pressure changes created by movement. Its electroreceptors sense the faint electrical signatures of muscle contractions in fish and mammals alike. Vision, though useful in clear water, is not the sole determinant of approach. In fact, murk often benefits the shark by reducing the prey's ability to anticipate its trajectory. The defining biological trait that separates the bull shark from many other large sharks is its extraordinary tolerance for fresh water. Through complex osmoregulatory mechanisms involving the kidneys, rectal gland, and hormonal adjustments, the bull shark can regulate internal salt concentration even when moving far upriver. In marine conditions, sharks retain urea in their bloodstream to balance osmotic pressure with seawater. In freshwater, where salt concentration is lower, the bull shark adjusts kidney function to prevent excessive dilution of its body fluids. This physiological flexibility allows it to patrol rivers hundreds of kilometers inland, inhabit lakes connected to marine systems, and exploit prey communities inaccessible to strictly oceanic predators. Few large marine predators share this capability. The bull shark's range is therefore not confined to wave-swept coasts, but extends into the murky arteries of continents. In these shallow and often crowded waters, spatial advantage shifts dramatically. A swimmer standing waist-deep in an estuary may assume proximity to shore equals safety. The bottom beneath their feet may feel firm, yet sediment shifts with each step, and small channels carved by tidal flow create sudden depressions. Visibility can drop to near zero with a single disturbance. For a bull shark navigating the same water column, the complexity is not a hindrance, but a navigational map composed of chemical gradients, vibration patterns, and electrical cues. The shark's bulk allows it to push through turbidity without hesitation. Its body is not streamlined for prolonged open ocean speed alone, but for controlled bursts and tight turns in constrained spaces. This is a predator adapted not to vast blue emptiness, but to contested shallow arenas. When a serious encounter unfolds, it often does so within meters of shore. The shark may approach along a tidal seam where fresh water meets salt, following schools of mullet or other fish that congregate in nutrient-rich outflows. Prey fish often cluster tightly in these areas, and where prey density increases, predators follow. Humans standing in such water become part of the same ecological mosaic. The bull shark's broad diet contributes to its unpredictability. It consumes fish, rays, smaller sharks, marine mammals, and occasionally terrestrial animals that enter the water. Its feeding strategy is opportunistic, shaped by environments where prey availability fluctuates daily. In such systems, sampling unfamiliar objects can confer survival advantage. Unfortunately, the act of sampling by a shark weighing several hundred kilograms is not subtle. The bite of a bull shark is designed for crushing and tearing. Its jaws are powerful, capable of exerting significant force relative to body size. The upper teeth are triangular and serrated, suited for cutting flesh, while the lower teeth help anchor and rip. When the jaws close around a limb or torso, tissue damage can be extensive. In shallow water, where footing is unstable, the initial impact may knock a person off balance. The suddenness of injury, combined with the shock of pain and the obscuring effect of stirred sediment, produces immediate disorientation. Panic escalates rapidly because the water offers limited room for maneuver. The bottom may be uneven, currents may pull sideways, and visibility may collapse completely as blood disperses into the surrounding turbidity. The psychological dimension of such encounters is inseparable from the ecological setting. In open ocean narratives, danger is often imagined as distant and dramatic, associated with deep water and visible fins slicing across the surface. The bull shark subverts that expectation. It represents vulnerability in familiar zones, river mouths, swimming beaches, shallow bays. The betrayal of proximity intensifies fear because land remains visible, yet inaccessible in the critical seconds following an attack. The victim may be only a few meters from shore, but injury compromises swimming ability and blood loss can progress rapidly. Assistance from bystanders is delayed not by distance alone, but by confusion. Murky water conceals the shark's position, complicating rescue efforts. Bull sharks also influence the behavior of other species in these systems. In some estuaries, fish alter their spatial distribution when bull sharks patrol regularly, hugging shallower margins or sheltering among submerged structures. Dolphins and other predators may avoid certain channels at specific times of day. This predator-induced restructuring of habitat use affects nutrient flow and prey competition. The bull shark thus functions as both hunter and ecological moderator. Its presence reshapes community dynamics in ways often invisible to casual observers, but measurable in long-term studies of species abundance and movement. The ability to traverse between marine and freshwater environments grants bull sharks access to unique breeding grounds. Females often give birth in brackish or freshwater systems where young sharks face reduced competition from larger marine predators. These nursery habitats provide relative refuge during early development, though they are not free from danger. Juvenile bull sharks must contend with crocodilians in some regions and with larger conspecifics as they grow. The use of rivers and estuaries as nurseries underscores the species' integration into human-modified landscapes. Dams, pollution, and shoreline development intersect directly with bull shark life history. As human populations expand along coasts and rivers, overlap intensifies. From a physiological standpoint, shallow water introduces thermal variability. Sun-warmed estuaries can reach temperatures significantly higher than adjacent offshore zones. Bull sharks, as ectothermic animals, experience metabolic rates influenced by ambient temperature. Warmer water accelerates digestion and activity, but also increases oxygen demand. The shark's tolerance for fluctuating salinity and temperature reflects an evolutionary pathway shaped by dynamic coastal ecosystems. Its resilience in such environments partly explains its broad distribution across tropical and subtropical regions worldwide. The worst-case human encounter in shallow water unfolds quickly. A sudden surge, a flash of pale underbelly in brown water, and the crushing force of a bite converge in seconds. The injured person struggles to orient themselves, but sediment clouds thicken as feet and hands churn the bottom. The shark may release after an initial bite, yet even a single contact can produce catastrophic tissue damage and severe blood loss. Unlike in deeper water, where vertical escape might be attempted, shallow zones confine movement. The shoreline may be close, but the path to it is obstructed by shock, pain, and the destabilizing effects of moving water. It is essential to contextualize these events within their rarity relative to the immense scale of coastal recreation. Millions enter estuarine and nearshore waters annually without incident. Bull sharks are not indiscriminate aggressors, but predators responding to environmental stimuli shaped by evolutionary history. Nonetheless, their presence in heavily used human zones elevates the psychological impact of each encounter. They embody a reminder that ecological systems do not reorganize around human expectations of safety. In conservation terms, bull sharks face threats from fishing pressure and habitat degradation. Because they use rivers and estuaries as nurseries, they are particularly vulnerable to pollution and coastal development. Removing such predators can alter trophic structures and destabilize prey populations, potentially triggering cascading ecological consequences. The same species capable of inflicting catastrophic harm also plays a regulatory role in maintaining balance within complex coastal ecosystems. The bull shark's most unsettling capability, therefore, lies not solely in the mechanical power of its bite, but in the context of its habitat. It converts shallow, familiar water into a domain of sudden vulnerability. It operates in environments where visibility is compromised and spatial awareness is fragile. When an attack occurs close to shore, the nearness of land does not guarantee safety. In those moments, human anatomy and perception are poorly matched to a predator refined by millions of years of adaptation to dynamic coastal corridors. The water that felt reassuring becomes disorienting, and proximity to land offers little advantage. The bull shark embodies the lesson that ecological boundaries are not psychological ones. You can stand within sight of safety and still be entirely outclassed by the biology moving beneath the surface. The tide has retreated just enough to expose the broad, shallow flats, where sand stretches in pale sheets between scattered coral heads. The water here is ankle to knee deep, warm from the sun, and clouded slightly by the constant exchange between incoming waves and the slow drainage back toward the sea. Small ripples chase each other across the surface, distorting reflections of sky and mangrove leaves. Schools of juvenile fish patrol in tight formations, darting aside at the approach of wading birds. Beneath this shifting mosaic lies a creature so perfectly merged with its environment that the boundary between body and seabed disappears. The stingray is not hunting in this moment. It is resting, partially buried, eyes protruding just above the sand, spiracles rhythmically drawing water across its gills. It is a bottom dweller by design, built to disappear beneath the substrate and avoid the attention of larger predators. The body of a stingray is flattened into a broad disc, its pectoral fins fused to the head in a wing-like form that undulates gently when it swims. The mouth and gill slits are positioned on the underside, allowing the ray to feed on benthic organisms while remaining close to the sand. Its eyes sit atop the body, scanning for movement, while the spiracles behind them pull water inward to maintain respiration, even when the ray is buried. This arrangement reflects a life lived against the bottom, in constant contact with sediment and tidal flow. The coloration of most stingrays mirrors the sand or mud they inhabit, ranging from pale beige to mottled grey. Fine grains cling to their backs as they settle, completing the illusion of inert terrain. Stingrays are not aggressive predators of large animals. Their diet consists primarily of small fish, mollusks, and crustaceans uncovered through subtle hydraulic feeding. By flapping their fins in a controlled manner, they generate small jets of water that expose hidden prey beneath the sand. Some species use electroreception to detect the faint electrical signals emitted by buried organisms, an ability shared with sharks and rooted in similar sensory structures. This electroreceptive capability allows stingrays to locate prey without relying on sight in turbid shallows. The ray's ecological role is therefore that of a benthic forager, shaping invertebrate communities and influencing sediment structure through constant sifting and movement. Yet along the dorsal surface of its slender tail lies a feature that transforms this otherwise placid forager into a formidable defensive organism. The stingray's tail spine is a modified dermal denticle, a rigid serrated structure coated in a sheath containing venom-producing cells. The spine is not a stabbing spear in the sense of a forward-pointing weapon. Instead, it is positioned along the tail and used in a rapid upward or backward whip-like motion when the animal is threatened. The serrations along the spine are angled backward, meaning that once embedded, withdrawal can tear tissue further. The venom itself is not delivered through hollow fangs but through grooves along the spine, entering the wound as the sheath ruptures upon penetration. The worst human encounter typically begins not with pursuit, but with accidental contact. A person wading across the flat may feel only warm water and shifting sand beneath their feet. The seabed appears empty. Without lifting feet fully between steps, a foot presses down onto what seems like soft sediment. In that instant, the ray, startled and perceiving crushing pressure from above, executes its defensive reflex. The tail arcs upward with surprising speed, driving the serrated spine into whatever is compressing its body. The motion is a reaction, not an attack sequence. Yet the mechanical consequences can be severe. The puncture wound inflicted by a stingray spine is often deep and irregular. Unlike a clean needle puncture, the serrated edges create jagged lacerations as the spine enters and exits tissue. In some cases, fragments of the spine or sheath may remain embedded, complicating wound management. The venom compounds the injury by introducing proteins that provoke intense pain, inflammation, and tissue damage. The immediate sensation can be overwhelming, radiating outward from the wound site and accompanied by swelling and bleeding. While fatalities are rare and usually associated with strikes to critical areas such as the chest, injuries to the foot or lower leg are far more common and still medically significant. In shallow water, the physiological shock of sudden pain intersects with environmental instability. A wader may lose balance, submerging briefly or stumbling against uneven substrate. The clarity of the water may be compromised as sediment billows upward from disturbed sand. Panic rises not only from pain, but from uncertainty. The individual may not immediately understand what caused the injury, particularly if the ray has already fled in a cloud of sediment. The sense of being struck by something unseen can amplify distress. In marine settings, even temporary disorientation carries risk, especially where currents or wave action are present. The venom of stingrays is heat-sensitive, and immersion of the affected limb in hot water is commonly recommended to reduce pain by denaturing toxin proteins. This treatment underscores the biochemical nature of the injury. Yet in the minutes before care is available, the body's stress response dominates. Elevated heart rate, shallow breathing, and heightened anxiety can complicate decision-making. The marine environment does not offer the stability of dry land during such episodes. The sand shifts underfoot, and water movement continues without pause. From an evolutionary perspective, the stingray's defensive spine is a response to predation pressure from larger marine predators. Sharks, in particular, prey upon rays, and the ability to deliver a painful, potentially injurious strike increases the ray's chance of survival during an attack. Some sharks exhibit avoidance behaviors when encountering rays, suggesting learned caution. The spine's design, with its backward-facing serrations and venomous coating, reflects a balance between mechanical deterrence and biochemical reinforcement. The ray does not rely on speed to escape. It relies on a single decisive defensive motion when escape is impossible. Stingrays also display intriguing reproductive behaviors that add further depth to their ecological story. Many species are ovoviviparous, meaning that embryos develop inside the mother's body and are nourished initially by yolk and later by a nutrient-rich uterine secretion, sometimes referred to as uterine milk. This strategy allows young rays to be born relatively well developed, capable of independent movement and foraging soon after birth. Such reproductive investment underscores the importance of survival mechanisms like the tail spine, which protect not only individual adults but also future generations. Thermoregulation in stingrays follows the ectothermic pattern common to most fishes. Their activity levels fluctuate with water temperature, often increasing in warmer months when metabolic rates rise. Seasonal migrations may occur in some species, with rays moving between deeper waters and shallow flats, depending on temperature and breeding cycles. These migrations intersect with human recreational patterns, particularly in warm coastal regions where tourism peaks during the same months that rays frequent shallows. Thus, the ecological rhythms of the species align inadvertently with heightened human presence. The worst aspect of a stingray encounter for humans is not malice, but misalignment. The ray is attempting to avoid being crushed. The human is attempting to enjoy shallow water. The point of contact is accidental, yet the consequences can be traumatic. A single defensive strike converts ordinary footing into a medical emergency. The wound is not merely a puncture, but a complex injury involving tearing tissue, venom injection, and potential secondary infection from marine bacteria. The event can escalate from calm to crisis within seconds. In the broader ecological context, stingrays are integral components of coastal ecosystems. Their foraging aerates sediment and influences nutrient cycling. By consuming invertebrates, they regulate populations that might otherwise dominate benthic communities. They serve as prey for larger predators, linking trophic levels in dynamic food webs. The same tail spine that injures a human is a product of these ecological interactions, a refinement shaped by predator-prey conflict rather than human vulnerability. To walk across a sandy flat is to traverse a living substrate where camouflage blurs the line between organism and environment. The stingray's design capitalizes on this ambiguity. It does not need to seek confrontation. It needs only to defend itself when compressed. The worst scenario unfolds in a shallow, familiar place where confidence is high and vigilance low. A single careless step becomes a point of impact, and the calm surface of the water conceals the complexity beneath. The stingray's defensive strike reminds us that even the most tranquil marine landscapes are layered with adaptations forged in survival's constant negotiation. The reef wall drops away in fractured tiers, each ledge casting a blue shadow into the water column below. Hard corals protrude like fossilized architecture, riddled with cavities that funnel currents and trap drifting plankton. Cleaner wrasses hover in open pockets, advertising their services to passing fish. Parrotfish grind at the limestone, releasing fine clouds of sediment that drift lazily across the slope. The structure appears solid, yet it is porous, layered with tunnels, crevices, and chambers formed over centuries of growth and erosion. Within these voids lives an animal that rarely crosses open water, but dominates the internal geometry of the reef. A pair of yellow-rimmed eyes peers from darkness, unblinking, set within a narrow head that emerges only as far as necessary. The body extends deeper into the rock, sinuous and muscular, occupying space the way water fills a channel. This is the moray eel, an ambush predator specialized for confined terrain rather than open pursuit. Moray eels belong to a lineage of elongated fishes adapted to life within reef crevices and rocky outcrops. Their bodies lack the prominent pectoral fins seen in many other fish, allowing them to slip through narrow spaces with minimal obstruction. The skin is thick and coated in mucus, reducing abrasion against sharp coral and deterring parasites. Their mouths gape rhythmically, a motion often misinterpreted as aggression, but in reality a respiratory adaptation. Because their gill openings are relatively small, morays must open and close their jaws to pump water across their gills, maintaining oxygen flow even when stationary. This constant movement of teeth in and out of view gives the illusion of readiness, but it is primarily a physiological necessity. The reef environment is structurally complex and three-dimensional. Small fish dart in and out of coral branches, seeking refuge from larger predators. Crustaceans scuttle along shaded surfaces. For a predator of the open water, such terrain would be obstructive. For the moray, it is opportunity. Its sense of smell is acute, capable of detecting trace amounts of chemical cues released by injured or stressed prey. Vision plays a secondary role within dim crevices, where light penetration is limited. Instead, morays rely heavily on olfaction and lateral line sensitivity to detect vibrations transmitted through rock and water. A wounded fish hiding in a hole may believe itself concealed, yet the chemical signature of blood diffuses outward in microscopic currents that the eel can track with remarkable precision. Morays exhibit a feeding strategy that differs from many reef predators. When prey approaches within range, the eel lunges forward from its cavity with a rapid extension of the head. Unlike fish that swallow prey by suction alone, morays possess a second set of jaws located in the throat, known as pharyngeal jaws. These jaws, lined with additional teeth, extend forward to grasp prey after the initial bite and then retract, pulling the victim deeper into the esophagus. This mechanism compensates for the eel's elongated body plan and limited ability to create strong suction in confined spaces. The pharyngeal jaws represent a rare evolutionary innovation among fishes, allowing morays to secure prey effectively within tight crevices where leverage is limited. The teeth of a moray are sharp and recurved, designed to grip rather than slice cleanly. Once embedded, they resist withdrawal, increasing the difficulty of escape. In interactions with natural prey, this design prevents slippery fish from wriggling free. In accidental encounters with humans, it creates a different problem. Reef divers often stabilize themselves by placing a hand on rock surfaces. Spearfishers may probe holes in search of hidden quarry. Snorkelers exploring shallow ledges may insert fingers into cavities out of curiosity. These actions intersect directly with moray habitat. The eel does not need to roam the reef to encounter a hand. The hand enters its territory. The worst-case scenario unfolds within this confined geometry. A diver reaching into a crevice may feel a sudden clamp around a finger or wrist. The bite is not exploratory. It is defensive or predatory, triggered by intrusion into a space associated with food or shelter. The moray's muscular body, anchored deep within the rock, provides leverage. It can twist and retract, using the structure of the reef to brace itself. The teeth, curved backward, resist removal. If the diver reflexively pulls away, tissue may tear against the serrated edges. Visibility within the crevice is often poor, and the diver's body position may be awkward, with limited room to maneuver. Unlike pelagic predators that attack in open water, morays operate in close quarters. The confined environment amplifies the consequences of each movement. Coral edges are sharp, and surge can push divers unpredictably against rock. Equipment hoses and lines may snag. In such settings, even minor distraction can escalate into a cascade of errors. The moray's bite, though rarely life-threatening in itself, can produce deep puncture wounds that bleed profusely due to the vascular nature of hands and forearms. The eel's saliva contains compounds that may increase bleeding, and marine bacteria present in reef environments can complicate healing if wounds are not treated promptly. Morays are not inherently aggressive toward humans. Many species coexist peacefully with divers who respect their space. In fact, some morays participate in mutualistic interactions with cleaner shrimp or cleaner fish, allowing these smaller organisms to enter their mouths and remove parasites. The image of a shrimp standing boldly within the gaping jaws of an eel illustrates the nuanced relationships that characterize reef ecosystems. The eel tolerates the intrusion because the benefit of parasite removal outweighs the instinct to bite. This selective restraint highlights the difference between ecological interaction and accidental confrontation. There are documented instances of cooperative hunting between moray eels and groupers, where the two species signal to one another and coordinate movements to flush prey from hiding. The grouper may perform a headshake near a moray's crevice, prompting the eel to emerge and pursue prey that would otherwise remain inaccessible. Such behavior suggests cognitive complexity and interspecies communication beyond simple opportunism. The reef is not merely a battlefield of solitary hunters, but a network of strategic partnerships shaped by mutual advantage. Thermoregulation in morays follows ectothermic principles. Their activity levels are influenced by water temperature, with warmer conditions increasing metabolic rate and feeding frequency. Many species exhibit site fidelity, occupying the same crevice for extended periods. This territoriality reinforces the risk associated with repeated human intrusion into specific reef pockets. A diver accustomed to placing a hand in a familiar hole may not realize that its occupant has changed, or that the eel within has grown more assertive with size and age. The worst aspect of a moray encounter is the transformation of curiosity into consequence. The reef invites exploration. Its cavities suggest hidden life, its ledges offer handholds, and its shadowed gaps beckon with mystery. Yet these same features define moray habitat. The eel's body, adapted to the darkness of rock tunnels, is a living extension of the reef's internal anatomy. To insert a hand into that anatomy is to disrupt a space optimized for ambush and defense. Once bitten, the mechanical challenge is extraction. Pulling forcefully may deepen lacerations as teeth tear through tissue. Remaining calm, though difficult under pain and surprise, is critical to reducing secondary injury. In some cases, gently pushing toward the eel rather than pulling away may encourage it to release, as forward pressure reduces the resistance that its teeth are designed to counter. These behavioral nuances underscore the importance of understanding the biology of the organism rather than reacting purely on instinct. Ecologically, moray eels regulate populations of small reef fish and invertebrates, contributing to the balance of coral ecosystems. By occupying crevices that might otherwise serve as refuges for prey, they influence spatial distribution and feeding patterns across trophic levels. Their presence adds a layer of predation pressure within the reef's internal structure, complementing open water predators that patrol above. Removing morays would alter the internal dynamics of reef communities, potentially increasing populations of certain species and affecting coral health indirectly. The moray eel's worst trick is not speed or venom, but territorial intimacy. It occupies the spaces humans are tempted to touch. Its defense mechanism is not spectacle, but grip. In the dim interior of a reef cavity, leverage favors the animal built for confinement. The injury may begin as a simple puncture, but twisting, poor visibility, and the structural complexity of coral amplify its impact. The reef rewards respect and punishes intrusion, and the moray stands as a sentinel within its narrow corridors. To swim above a reef is to witness a landscape of vibrant life layered over hidden architecture. Beneath the surface beauty lies a network of channels claimed by creatures evolved for darkness and confinement. The moray eel, with its pharyngeal jaws and recurved teeth, represents an adaptation to that internal world. When human curiosity crosses into those corridors without caution, the consequences can be immediate and visceral. The reef does not forbid touch, but it demands awareness of who else resides within its stone and shadow. The reef at dusk changes character. Colors that blazed in midday light now soften into muted blues and violets, and shadows deepen within crevices that were once plainly visible. Small fish retreat into coral branches. Nocturnal hunters begin to stir. In a narrow canyon between coral heads, a shape detaches from the rock itself, shifting from mottled stone to fluid muscle in a matter of seconds. An octopus glides forward, its 8 arms unfolding with quiet precision, each one lined with rows of suckers that taste and grip simultaneously. It does not swim far in the open. It prefers structure, leverage, and control. In this three-dimensional maze, intelligence is as important as strength. The octopus belongs to the class Cephalopoda, a lineage of mollusks that abandon shells in favor of flexibility and cognitive complexity. Its body is almost entirely soft, lacking the rigid skeleton that defines vertebrates. This softness allows it to compress through openings barely larger than its beak, the only hard structure within its anatomy. The beak, positioned at the center of the arms, can crush crustacean shells and tear fish flesh with mechanical efficiency. Yet the true power of the octopus lies not solely in its bite, but in its nervous system. A significant portion of its neurons are distributed through the arms themselves, granting each limb a degree of autonomous control. The result is a decentralized intelligence capable of processing tactile information in real time, while the central brain coordinates broader strategy. In ecological terms, octopuses occupy a niche as versatile predators within reefs, rocky shores, and seagrass beds. They hunt crabs, shrimp, small fish, and even other octopuses, employing camouflage and stealth to approach within reach. Chromatophores embedded in their skin allow rapid changes in color and texture, enabling them to blend seamlessly with coral, sand, or algae. Some species can even mimic the appearance of venomous animals, altering posture and pattern to deter predators. This capacity for dynamic camouflage is controlled by complex neural circuits that translate environmental cues into immediate visual transformations. The arms of an octopus are instruments of exploration and force. Each sucker functions as both a suction cup and a sensory organ, detecting chemical traces and texture. The muscular hydrostat structure of the arms permits bending, twisting, elongation, and constriction without rigid bones. When an octopus grips a surface, the suction generated by hundreds of suckers can create formidable holding power. In hunting, this allows the animal to pin prey against rock and maneuver it toward the beak. In defense, it enables anchoring within crevices, resisting extraction by predators. For humans, encounters with octopuses are often characterized by curiosity rather than fear. Divers approach them gently, fascinated by shifting colors and expressive eyes. In many cases, the octopus retreats, jetting away in a burst of water expelled from its siphon. Ink clouds may follow, obscuring vision and providing cover. Yet in rare circumstances, particularly with larger individuals, or when an animal feels cornered, interaction can escalate beyond passive contact. The octopus does not need to be aggressive in a predatory sense to create danger. It needs only to apply its natural behaviors, grip, concealment, and leverage, in a context where a human is unprepared. Imagine a diver exploring a rocky outcrop, stabilizing against surge by gripping a ledge. From a nearby cavity, an octopus extends an arm, tasting the water and sensing the presence of an intruder. If it perceives threat or opportunity, it may reach outward, suckers attaching to neoprene or bare skin. The initial contact can feel exploratory rather than hostile. Yet if the animal decides to anchor, it can extend multiple arms in rapid succession, wrapping around a wrist, mask, or regulator hose. The suction is strong, and the arms can twist with surprising force. In confined spaces where visibility is limited, such sudden entanglement can disorient even experienced divers. The worst potential scenario emerges not from venom potency, although some octopus species possess venom capable of causing serious harm, but from the cascade of confusion that follows entanglement. An octopus that anchors against rock can use its flexible body as a counterweight. The human, suspended in water and reliant on controlled breathing, may find movement restricted. If an arm covers a mask or obstructs vision, orientation shifts abruptly. In water, loss of visual reference can trigger vertigo. Breathing rate may increase under stress, depleting air supply. Equipment hoses can become ensnared among arms that explore every surface with tactile curiosity. Octopus venom, delivered through the beak, contains neurotoxins and enzymes designed to immobilize prey. In species such as the blue-ringed octopus, the venom includes tetrodotoxin, capable of causing paralysis in humans. However, even in species with less potent venom, a bite can introduce bacteria and cause painful injury. The octopus typically uses venom to subdue crabs or fish, injecting it into precise locations before consuming softened tissue. Humans are not natural prey, and bites are uncommon. The more realistic hazard lies in physical interaction amplified by environmental instability. The reef environment contributes to the complexity of such encounters. Surge can push both diver and octopus against rock surfaces. Coral structures are sharp and fragile. Equipment entanglement increases risk in narrow passages. Unlike land-based struggles, underwater interactions occur in a medium where buoyancy, current, and visibility interact unpredictably. A human struggling to free an arm must maintain composure to avoid rapid ascent or equipment loss. Panic, more than the octopus itself, becomes the catalyst for danger. Octopuses also exhibit remarkable problem-solving abilities. In laboratory and field observations, they have been seen opening jars, navigating mazes, and even collecting coconut shells for use as portable shelters. This cognitive flexibility extends to natural environments. An octopus may evaluate the resistance offered by an object and adjust its grip accordingly. It may retreat strategically if confronted with sustained force. Such behavior reflects a level of situational assessment rare among invertebrates. When applied to a human interaction, this intelligence can prolong entanglement if the animal perceives benefit in holding on. Thermoregulation in octopuses follows ectothermic principles, with metabolic rate influenced by water temperature. Warmer waters increase activity and feeding frequency, while cooler conditions may slow movement. Some species exhibit seasonal breeding cycles, with females guarding eggs for extended periods without feeding. During brooding, maternal octopuses become particularly defensive, prioritizing egg protection over self-preservation. In such states, proximity may trigger more assertive behavior. The ecological context, feeding, mating, brooding, shapes how an octopus responds to intrusion. The octopus also interacts symbiotically with certain reef species. Cleaner fish may remove parasites from its skin. In some regions, octopuses cooperate with groupers during hunting, flushing prey from crevices in exchange for shared capture opportunities. These partnerships underscore the animal's adaptability and its integration into complex reef networks. Intelligence is not merely a defensive asset, but a tool for ecological negotiation. The worst thing an octopus can do to a human is therefore situational rather than inherent. It is the combination of grip strength, decentralized neural control, and environmental leverage that transforms simple contact into an escalating struggle. The body, though soft, becomes an instrument of restraint when anchored effectively. The arms, tasting and sensing continuously, adapt grip pressure in response to resistance. The human, dependent on clear vision and steady breathing, may find those faculties compromised in seconds. In concluding this exploration, the octopus stands as a reminder that danger in the ocean is not always defined by size or venom alone. It can arise from intelligence applied in the wrong context. A strong octopus does not need to overpower through brute force. It needs only to complicate orientation and control long enough for panic to take hold. In the sea, confusion is often the first stage of catastrophe. The octopus embodies that principle with unsettling elegance. Its soft body conceals not hidden weapons, but adaptable strategies. In a reef's dim corridor, where structure narrows and light fades, intelligence itself becomes the unpredictable variable. The open sea off a continental shelf rises and falls in long, deliberate swells. Beneath the surface, columns of cold, nutrient-rich water surge upward from depth, feeding plankton blooms that shimmer in suspended clouds. Small crustaceans pulse in synchronized drifts. Schools of anchovies compress into tight silver formations as currents shift. The ocean here is not empty. It is layered, productive, and alive with microscopic density. And from below that living haze ascends a body so vast that the water itself seems to part around it. The humpback whale emerges not as a predator in pursuit of humans, but as an event in motion, a mass of muscle and blubber translating stored energy into upward force. When it breaches, the entire surface shatters. When it falls, the ocean answers. The humpback whale is not built for speed in the manner of an orca or a shark. Its body is long and heavy, reaching lengths that rival small boats and weights measured in tens of metric tons. Yet within that mass lies extraordinary power. The tail flukes, spanning several meters from tip to tip, drive the whale through water with vertical strokes that displace immense volumes of fluid. Each stroke transfers force through a medium denser than air, generating momentum that builds as the whale ascends from depth. The pectoral fins, disproportionately long compared to other baleen whales, provide maneuverability and stability, functioning almost like underwater wings. These fins are lined with tubercles along the leading edge, subtle protrusions that influence water flow and enhance lift, an adaptation that has even inspired aerodynamic research in human engineering. The humpback's feeding behavior reveals both grace and coordination. In regions where fish or krill aggregate in dense schools, humpbacks employ a strategy known as bubble net feeding. Individuals within a group dive beneath the prey, releasing spirals or columns of bubbles as they ascend. The bubbles form a temporary barrier that compresses the school inward, concentrating it into a dense sphere. As the net tightens, whales lunge upward with mouths open, engulfing enormous quantities of water and prey in a single motion. Baleen plates, composed of keratin, filter the water as it exits, trapping fish against fringed comb-like structures. This feeding method requires precise timing and spatial awareness. It is not brute force alone, but coordinated choreography. Yet the same body capable of such refinement can become catastrophic in proximity to a human. The humpback whale's mass means that any rapid movement transmits force through water in ways difficult for smaller organisms to withstand. When a whale breaches, launching its body clear of the sea and crashing back down, the impact produces shock waves that ripple outward. The splash is not merely spectacle. It is kinetic energy converted into turbulence and displacement. For a boat positioned too close, the falling body can capsize or damage hulls. For a swimmer, the pressure wave alone can disorient or submerge. Humpbacks breach for reasons not fully understood. Hypotheses include communication, parasite removal, social signaling, and simple exuberance. Calves breach alongside mothers, their smaller bodies mimicking the arcs of adults. In breeding grounds, males may breach repeatedly in displays associated with competition or courtship. The act is energetically expensive, requiring powerful thrust from depth. Yet in a marine mammal whose respiratory system is adapted to deep diving, the ascent and breach are well within physiological capacity. Lungs collapse under pressure during descent, preventing nitrogen absorption and reducing decompression risk. Upon resurfacing, rapid exhalation and inhalation refresh oxygen stores efficiently. This respiratory design allows humpbacks to alternate between deep dives and explosive surface behavior without suffering the physiological penalties that would afflict human divers. The worst-case scenario involving a humpback whale and a human does not hinge on predatory intent. Humpbacks feed on small fish and krill. They lack teeth for grasping large prey. Their baleen plates are designed for filtration, not biting. The danger arises from physics rather than appetite. Imagine a swimmer or small craft positioned within the surfacing path of a whale engaged in feeding or social behavior. The whale does not perceive the human as prey. It may not perceive the human at all, particularly if focused on prey density or conspecific interaction. The ascent is already underway, momentum accumulated from dozens of meters below. Once committed, the body cannot alter course easily. The water displacement alone can knock a person sideways, and direct contact with a fluke or pectoral fin can transmit blunt force equivalent to being struck by a moving vehicle. Even tail slaps, often observed as dramatic surface displays, carry substantial force. The fluke striking the water generates sound and shock that travel across distances, potentially serving communicative or competitive functions. For a nearby human, such a strike can produce sudden waves and destabilizing turbulence. The humpback's skin, thick and resilient, conceals layers of blubber that insulate against cold waters during migrations between feeding and breeding grounds. This blubber also adds inertia. Once the whale is in motion, stopping is not instantaneous. The sea does not provide brakes. Migration is central to the humpback's life cycle. Populations travel thousands of kilometers annually between cold, nutrient-rich feeding areas and warm breeding grounds. During these journeys, whales rely on stored fat reserves accumulated during months of intense feeding. The transition between feeding and breeding involves significant physiological shifts. In warm breeding waters, adults may fast for extended periods, relying on blubber stores. Calves are born in these relatively predator-sparse, warmer regions, where thermal conditions reduce heat loss for newborns lacking thick insulation. The migration itself reflects an evolutionary compromise between maximizing feeding efficiency and ensuring calf survival. Within breeding grounds, humpbacks exhibit complex vocal behavior. Males produce elaborate songs composed of structured sequences that can last many minutes and evolve over time within populations. These songs likely function in mate attraction and social communication. The acoustic landscape of breeding grounds becomes layered with overlapping calls, low-frequency moans, and rhythmic phrases that carry through water far more efficiently than through air. Sound is the primary medium of communication in the ocean, and humpbacks are masters of its manipulation. In this acoustic and dynamic environment, the human body is an anomaly. Its mass is negligible relative to the whale's. Its propulsion is weak compared to the fluke's thrust. Its skeletal structure cannot absorb significant blunt force without injury. The worst potential harm arises when proximity and motion intersect without anticipation. A snorkeler floating above a feeding aggregation may find the water beneath suddenly rising as a whale lunges upward. The whale's mouth, though not designed to bite humans, can engulf large volumes of water in seconds. There are rare documented instances of humpbacks accidentally scooping small objects into their mouths during feeding, only to expel them once detected. Such incidents underscore how scale and feeding strategy can intersect unexpectedly with human presence. The ocean transmits force differently than land. Water's density amplifies the impact of moving bodies. When a whale accelerates, the displaced water forms pressure gradients that propagate outward. A human caught within these gradients may experience sudden changes in orientation and buoyancy. In deeper water, such displacement may be survivable with quick recovery. In shallower or turbulent conditions, it can compound risk rapidly. Humpback whales also carry ectoparasites and scars from interactions with predators, such as orcas, or from entanglement in fishing gear. Their survival reflects resilience in the face of multiple environmental pressures. Conservation efforts have led to recovery in several populations after historical whaling drastically reduced numbers. Today, regulated whale watching industries operate in many regions, emphasizing responsible distance to minimize disturbance and risk. These guidelines recognize that admiration must be balanced with respect for scale. The worst thing a humpback whale can do to a human is therefore not an act of intent, but an act of magnitude. It is the collision of tens of metric tons of muscle and blubber with a body adapted for land. It is the shockwave from a breach, the sweep of a fluke, the inadvertent engulfment within a lunge. In the sea, physics does not negotiate. Size translates directly into force, and force moves through water with amplified consequence. To witness a humpback breach is to experience awe at the intersection of biology and physics. The arc of the body, the suspended moment before impact, and the explosion of spray upon re-entry remind us that the ocean hosts beings whose mass and momentum dwarf human presence. In that environment, proximity alone can become perilous. The humpback does not need malice. It needs only motion. And in a medium where water carries energy efficiently, motion from a body that large is more than enough to render the human body irrelevant. The tide has retreated from the outer reef crest, leaving behind a labyrinth of shallow pools stitched together by narrow channels. Sunlight pours directly into these basins, illuminating coral heads that now stand partly exposed and casting sharp shadows beneath overhangs where small fish shelter from the brightness. The air smells faintly of salt and algae. Between patches of coral rubble and plates of encrusting limestone, the reef floor appears textured but manageable, a mosaic of stone and sand that invites careful footing. Yet scattered across this surface are clusters of dark spheres bristling with spines, each one anchored firmly to rock. The sea urchin does not move quickly. It does not lunge or chase. It waits as part of the substrate itself, armed not with speed, but with geometry. Sea urchins belong to the class Echinoidea, relatives of sea stars and sand dollars, organisms defined by radial symmetry and a rigid internal skeleton composed of fused calcareous plates. The spherical body, known as the test, is covered in spines that articulate at ball and socket joints. These spines vary in length and thickness depending on species, but in many reef-dwelling forms they are long, needle-like, and brittle. Beneath the spines lie tube feet, tiny hydraulic extensions of the water vascular system, that allow the urchin to grip surfaces with surprising strength. While the spines are often the first feature noticed, it is this combination of armor and adhesion that allows the animal to occupy exposed reef faces without being dislodged by waves. The sea urchin's ecological role is often understated because it feeds on algae and plant matter rather than on conspicuous prey. Yet its grazing activity is central to reef health. By scraping algae from rock surfaces using a complex jaw apparatus known as Aristotle's lantern, the urchin prevents algal overgrowth that could otherwise smother coral polyps. The teeth of Aristotle's lantern are arranged in a 5-part symmetry and can be extended outward to rasp at substrate with persistent efficiency. Through constant feeding, sea urchins maintain open space for coral larvae to settle and grow. In areas where urchin populations decline due to disease or predation, reefs can shift toward algal dominance, altering the entire ecosystem structure. Despite this beneficial role, the urchin's defensive architecture is uncompromising. The spines are not passive decorations. They are mechanical deterrents designed to discourage predation. Fish that attempt to bite or swallow an urchin risk puncture injuries to the mouth. Some predators, such as triggerfish and certain sea stars, have evolved strategies to flip or dismantle urchins, exposing softer undersides. But for most would-be attackers, the spines are enough to redirect attention elsewhere. In some species, the spines are venomous, capable of delivering toxins that enhance pain and inflammation when embedded in tissue. The worst human encounter with a sea urchin unfolds in a moment of imbalance. A foot slips on algae-slick rock. A hand reaches instinctively to steady the body. A knee drops against what appears to be stable substrate. Instead of rock, the contact point is a cluster of spines. The mechanical force of body weight drives multiple spines into soft tissue simultaneously. Unlike the single puncture of a stingray spine, the urchin injury is often multifocal. Dozens of thin, brittle spines can penetrate skin, breaking off beneath the surface. The pain is immediate and sharp, amplified by the concentration of nerve endings in the foot or hand. In shallow water, this sudden injury destabilizes posture. The injured individual may reflexively withdraw, losing balance again and risking further contact with surrounding reef structure. The spines, composed of calcium carbonate, are fragile. As they break, fragments remain embedded, complicating removal. Some species possess pedicularia, tiny pincer-like appendages between spines that can grasp and inject mild venom. These microscopic structures contribute to localized inflammation and discomfort, adding a chemical dimension to what begins as a mechanical wound. The severity of a sea urchin injury often lies not in life-threatening toxicity, but in its capacity to impair mobility. Walking on punctured feet becomes painful. Swimming with an injured hand reduces propulsion and coordination. In environments where waves surge unpredictably or currents pull toward deeper channels, even minor impairment can escalate risk. The ocean demands composure. Pain disrupts composure. Panic alters breathing patterns, which in turn affects buoyancy and stamina. The urchin does not pursue. It simply enforces the cost of clumsiness at a moment when balance is critical. From a physiological standpoint, the body's response to spine penetration includes localized inflammation, swelling, and sometimes muscle stiffness. If spines remain embedded, the surrounding tissue may react by forming granulomas as the immune system attempts to isolate foreign material. Marine bacteria present in reef environments can enter puncture wounds, increasing the risk of infection if not properly cleaned. The injury thus extends beyond the initial puncture, potentially affecting mobility for days or weeks. Sea urchins themselves are subject to predation and environmental pressures. Their spines are energetically expensive to produce, and their density often reflects predator abundance. In areas with high fish predation, urchins may inhabit crevices during daylight hours, emerging at night to graze under reduced visibility. This dial pattern reflects a balance between feeding efficiency and predator avoidance. The reef at night transforms into a different ecosystem, with nocturnal predators patrolling and urchins venturing outward. Humans who explore reefs during twilight or night dives may encounter urchins in more exposed positions, increasing the likelihood of accidental contact. Thermoregulation in sea urchins is limited by their ectothermic physiology. They tolerate a range of temperatures but are sensitive to extreme fluctuations. Rising ocean temperatures and acidification threaten their calcareous tests and spines by altering carbonate chemistry in seawater. Yet in stable reef systems, urchins remain resilient grazers, capable of surviving in wave-exposed zones where few other herbivores can maintain footing. The irony of the sea urchin's danger lies in its ordinariness. It does not resemble a predator. It does not project size or speed. It sits in plain sight, often mistaken for decoration or dismissed as manageable. The injury it inflicts appears minor compared to bites or stings from larger marine animals. Yet in water, the context amplifies consequences. A punctured foot on land is inconvenient. A punctured foot on a slippery reef edge with incoming swell can be destabilizing and frightening. Ecologically, sea urchins also serve as bioindicators. Sudden population booms or crashes can signal broader environmental changes. In some regions, overfishing of urchin predators has led to population explosions that overgraze kelp forests, transforming lush habitats into barren seascapes known as urchin barrens. This illustrates how the same organism that supports coral growth in one context can undermine ecosystem structure in another. Balance, rather than intrinsic virtue or harm, defines ecological roles. The worst thing a sea urchin can do to a human is therefore cumulative, rather than cinematic. It is the cluster of punctures that distracts attention at the wrong moment. It is the brittle spine that snaps beneath skin and demands careful extraction. It is the sudden flare of pain that interrupts breathing rhythm and balance. In marine environments, small injuries have disproportionate consequences because they intersect with unstable footing and dynamic water movement. To stand on a reef flat is to enter a space shaped by organisms adapted to defend themselves against crushing jaws and scraping teeth. The urchin spines are the product of evolutionary negotiation with predators far larger and more persistent than humans. When human skin meets those spines, the outcome is not personal. It is mechanical. Yet the experience leaves a lasting impression. The reef, which moments before seemed solid and inviting, reveals itself as layered with defenses. In the end, the sea urchin's lesson is about humility. The ocean does not reserve harm for its largest inhabitants. It distributes risk across scale and strategy. A stumble, a misstep, or a careless reach can convert a serene tide pool into a scene of sharp pain and logistical challenge. The spines do not pursue. They simply exist, ready to enforce the boundaries of the reef. In that enforcement lies a reminder that survival in marine ecosystems depends as much on awareness as on strength. The open ocean does not offer edges. There is no reef wall, no mangrove tangle, no sand flat to anchor perspective. The water stretches in gradients of blue that deepen with distance, broken only by wind lines and the occasional surge of swell. Beneath the surface, columns of light taper downward into darker strata, where plankton drift and schools of fish shimmer like living metal. In this vast pelagic arena, scale becomes relative. A human body suspended in the water appears small and fragile, a vertical silhouette of limited propulsion and modest strength. Into this three-dimensional openness moves an animal that redefines proportion. The orca, black and white against the blue, travels with fluid authority, its dorsal fin cutting a clean arc when it surfaces, its body propelled by a tail capable of generating extraordinary thrust. It is not simply large, it is engineered for control within an environment that magnifies power. Orcas are apex marine mammals, members of the dolphin family, yet occupying a niche that transcends most predators in complexity and cooperation. Their bodies are streamlined for sustained speed and maneuverability, capable of bursts that allow them to intercept swift prey. Beneath the smooth skin lies a dense musculature, supported by a robust skeletal framework, adapted to withstand forces generated by high-speed pursuit and abrupt turns. The flukes at the end of the tail beat with vertical strokes, converting muscular energy into forward motion with remarkable efficiency. Adult males can exceed several metric tons in mass, a scale that renders a human swimmer nearly weightless by comparison. Yet physical strength alone does not define the orca's ecological dominance. Their intelligence and social structure amplify their impact on marine ecosystems. Orcas live in matrilineal pods, stable family units led by older females who transmit knowledge across generations. Hunting techniques are not purely instinctual, but culturally learned. In some regions, orcas coordinate to create waves that wash seals from ice flows. In others, they work together to isolate large whales, targeting calves and exhausting adults through prolonged harassment. There are documented instances of specialized ecotypes that feed primarily on fish, others on marine mammals, and still others on sharks, each with distinct vocalizations and foraging strategies. This behavioral specialization reflects not just dietary preference, but cultural inheritance within pods. When considering the worst potential interaction between an orca and a human in open water, it is the convergence of mass, speed, and cognitive ability that defines the risk. An orca approaching a human swimmer does not perceive an equal opponent. The human's limbs, designed for terrestrial locomotion, produce limited thrust in water. Buoyancy control is imprecise without equipment. The orca, by contrast, can dictate distance and direction effortlessly. A single lateral movement of its tail can reposition its entire body. A deliberate ram at moderate speed carries force that far exceeds the structural tolerance of human bone and muscle. In predatory contexts, orcas exhibit behaviors that demonstrate their capacity to manipulate prey. They may toss seals into the air, disorienting them before consumption. They may bite the pectoral fins of large whales to limit mobility. They have been observed targeting the livers of certain shark species, exploiting buoyancy changes after removing this nutrient-rich organ. These actions reveal not only physical dominance, but strategic precision. The orca does not simply overpower, it experiments, coordinates, and adapts. In open water, where a human body offers minimal resistance, the power imbalance becomes absolute. However, it is important to ground this perspective in ecological reality. Documented fatal encounters between wild orcas and humans are extraordinarily rare. In most cases, orcas display indifference or curiosity rather than aggression toward swimmers. Their prey preferences are often highly specialized, shaped by cultural transmission within pods. Fish-eating populations may ignore marine mammals entirely, while mammal-eating populations focus on specific species that fit learned hunting templates. Humans do not resemble typical prey in silhouette or behavior, and this may contribute to the rarity of attacks. Nonetheless, the theoretical worst-case scenario underscores the magnitude of difference in capability. If an orca were to treat a human as prey or engage in forceful interaction, the outcome would depend entirely on the whale's restraint. The human body, with limited mass and no protective adaptations against blunt force underwater, would be vulnerable to crushing impact or being dragged beneath the surface. The orca's teeth are conical and robust, designed to grip rather than slice cleanly. A bite delivered with even partial force could fracture bone. More unsettling than the bite itself is the potential for manipulation. An orca can grasp, reposition, and submerge an object at will, controlling depth and orientation with ease. The pelagic environment amplifies this disparity. In open water, there are no stable surfaces to grasp. Depth perception can be distorted by light refraction. Waves introduce vertical motion that complicates breathing. A human caught in the orbit of an orca's movement cannot anchor against current or substrate. The whale's fluke generates turbulence that further destabilizes smaller bodies. Even accidental contact at high speed could produce severe injury. The open ocean is a realm where physics favors mass and hydrodynamic efficiency. Orcas are endothermic mammals, maintaining a stable internal temperature despite inhabiting waters ranging from polar to tropical. Their thick blubber layer provides insulation and energy reserves. Countercurrent heat exchange systems in their flippers and flukes minimize thermal loss, allowing them to operate efficiently in cold seas where prey such as seals and penguins abound. This thermoregulatory capability expands their geographic range and places them in diverse ecological contexts. In polar regions, they coordinate hunts along ice edges. In temperate waters, they may follow migratory fish runs. In tropical seas, they sometimes target rays or smaller cetaceans. Their adaptability is both physiological and cultural. Communication within pods relies on complex vocalizations that differ between groups, effectively functioning as dialects. These acoustic signals coordinate movement and hunting, reinforcing social bonds. The brain of an orca is large relative to body size, with well-developed regions associated with social cognition and problem-solving. Such cognitive sophistication adds another layer to the potential dynamics of human interaction. The orca is not merely reacting reflexively, it is capable of assessing and adjusting behavior in real time. The fear associated with the idea of an orca encounter stems from this combination of intelligence and power. It is not simply that the whale is large, it is that it can choose how to apply its strength. In captivity, documented incidents have demonstrated the capacity of orcas to inflict severe injury on humans, often in confined environments where behavioral stresses are present. In the wild, restraint appears to be the norm, yet the underlying capability remains. The human swimmer's survival, in a hypothetical aggressive interaction, would rely on the whale's decision not to escalate. Ecologically, orcas shape marine communities by regulating populations of prey species. Their predation on seals can influence seal distribution and behavior, which in turn affects fish stocks. Their targeting of large whales can alter migration patterns. In some regions, orcas have been observed interacting with fisheries, taking fish from lines and demonstrating behavioral plasticity in response to human activity. These interactions highlight the orca's position not just as predator, but as ecological architect, capable of altering trophic cascades through selective pressure. The most unsettling aspect of imagining the worst possible orca encounter lies in recognizing the absence of human leverage. There is no defensive posture that can counterbalance several metric tons of coordinated muscle. There is no sprint that can outpace a marine mammal evolved for sustained swimming. In open water, the human body is an object subject to forces beyond its design limits. The orca's ability to dictate direction, depth, and momentum transforms the encounter into a demonstration of scale rather than struggle. Yet the narrative of terror must coexist with ecological respect. Orcas are not indiscriminate killers. They are complex social mammals whose behaviors are shaped by culture, environment, and evolutionary history. Their interactions with humans in the wild have overwhelmingly been characterized by curiosity or neutrality. The same intelligence that allows coordinated hunting may also enable recognition that a human does not fit established prey categories. The worst capability of an orca in relation to a human is therefore rooted in asymmetry. It is the imbalance of mass, strength, and control in an environment that magnifies those traits. It is the knowledge that if such an animal chose to exert force without restraint, resistance would be negligible. The open ocean offers no refuge from that imbalance. The water supports the whale more completely than it supports the human. In this pelagic expanse, survival would hinge entirely on the predator's choice. Standing on a vessel and watching a pod of orcas surface in synchrony, their dorsal fins slicing through waves, one perceives not menace, but cohesion. The ocean around them feels alive with intelligence and intention. The same attributes that inspire awe also define their potential. The orca is a reminder that in marine ecosystems, dominance is not measured solely by tooth or claw, but by coordination, cognition, and command of space. In the unlikely event of a hostile encounter, the human body would be subject to forces it cannot counter. The whale would determine movement, depth, and outcome. And that realization, grounded in physics and biology rather than myth, is what makes the possibility so profoundly humbling. The reef at low tide seems composed of stillness. Pools remain trapped between coral heads and limestone ridges, reflecting a sky broken by drifting clouds. Within these shallow basins, life continues in concentrated form. Small gobies dart between stones. Snails cling to submerged rock faces. Fragments of broken coral collect in pale mounds that shift slightly with the surge of passing waves. To the casual observer, these pools appear quiet, almost delicate. Yet within narrow burrows carved into sand and rubble, an animal waits that challenges every human assumption about scale and strength. The mantis shrimp, often no longer than a human hand, occupies this confined territory with a level of mechanical capacity that defies intuition. Mantis shrimp belong to a group of crustaceans known as stomatopods, a lineage distinct from true shrimp and crabs. Their bodies are segmented and armored, with compound eyes mounted on mobile stalks that scan the environment independently. These eyes are among the most sophisticated visual systems known in the animal kingdom, capable of detecting polarized light and a broad spectrum of wavelengths beyond typical human perception. This extraordinary vision allows mantis shrimp to interpret subtle contrasts and movement within the complex visual clutter of reef substrates. The reef pool, which to a human may appear as a mosaic of rock and sand, becomes for the mantis shrimp a layered field of signals rich with information. The mantis shrimp's most famous adaptation lies in its second pair of thoracic appendages, modified into powerful raptorial limbs. Depending on species, these limbs function as either spears or clubs. Spearing mantis shrimp target soft-bodied prey such as fish, impaling them with barbed appendages that strike forward with precise accuracy. Smashing species, by contrast, wield calcified clubs that accelerate with astonishing speed. When a smashing mantis shrimp strikes, the limb unfolds in a rapid motion powered by a spring-like mechanism within the exoskeleton. Elastic energy is stored and then released, producing a blow that can crack open snail shells and fracture the armor of crabs. The acceleration of this strike ranks among the fastest movements in the animal kingdom, creating cavitation bubbles in the water that collapse with additional force upon impact. This cavitation phenomenon adds a second layer of destructive capacity. When the club moves so rapidly that it generates a region of low pressure behind it, water vaporizes momentarily, forming a bubble. The collapse of that bubble produces a shockwave and localized heat. For small prey, the combined effect of the mechanical strike and the cavitation collapse can be fatal, even if the initial contact does not land directly. This dual impact system reflects an evolutionary arms race within reef ecosystems, where prey species develop thicker shells and predators respond with more forceful methods of penetration. The mantis shrimp's burrow is both refuge and ambush point. Excavated in sand or rubble, it serves as a fortress against larger predators and as a strategic location for hunting. The animal often positions itself at the entrance, eyes rotating independently, scanning for movement. It is territorial, defending its burrow against intruders with displays that may include flared appendages and rapid strikes. For reef organisms, the presence of a mantis shrimp shapes local dynamics. Small fish avoid certain holes. Crustaceans alter foraging patterns. Even larger predators may hesitate near known burrows, aware of the potential for painful retaliation. Human interaction with mantis shrimp typically occurs during reef exploration, collection, or aquarium handling. The animal's vivid coloration and complex behavior attract attention. Its size encourages underestimation. A hand reaching into a tide pool to examine a shell may inadvertently approach a burrow entrance. A diver collecting specimens may grasp what appears to be an inert rock fragment, only to discover it houses a resident crustacean prepared to defend its territory. When a smashing mantis shrimp strikes human skin, the injury can be startlingly severe. The club's force, though scaled to crack shells rather than fracture bone, can lacerate flesh and cause blunt trauma to fingers. The worst aspect of such an encounter is not lethality, but disproportionality. The injury feels explosive, mechanical, and immediate. The human nervous system registers the strike as a sudden burst of pain, accompanied by shock at the mismatch between size and force. In shallow water, where balance depends on careful footing and steady hands, such an impact can trigger reflexive withdrawal that destabilizes posture. A person may lose grip on equipment or stumble against sharp coral. The reef's uneven surfaces amplify the consequences of surprise. From a biomechanical perspective, the mantis shrimp's strike is a masterpiece of energy storage and release. The appendage locks into a cocked position through a latch mechanism that stores elastic potential energy in specialized structures within the exoskeleton. When the latch releases, the stored energy converts rapidly into kinetic motion. This system allows the mantis shrimp to generate force beyond what muscle contraction alone could achieve. In ecological terms, this adaptation enables exploitation of hard-shelled prey that would otherwise remain inaccessible. The mantis shrimp's feeding niche thus influences the population dynamics of snails, crabs, and other armored invertebrates within reef systems. The eyes of mantis shrimp add further complexity to their ecological role. Their ability to detect polarized light enhances contrast in underwater environments where light scattering reduces clarity. This capacity aids in prey detection and communication. Some species exhibit body patterns that reflect polarized light, visible only to others with similar visual systems. Such signaling may facilitate mate recognition or territorial display without alerting predators lacking comparable perception. The reef, already vibrant in color, becomes an even more intricate landscape when viewed through mantis shrimp vision. Thermoregulation in mantis shrimp follows the ectothermic pattern of most crustaceans. Their activity levels fluctuate with water temperature, increasing in warmth when metabolic processes accelerate. In tropical tide pools, temperatures can vary dramatically between day and night, influencing feeding behavior and aggression. During cooler periods, mantis shrimp may retreat deeper into burrows, conserving energy. These rhythms align with broader reef cycles, including tidal movements and plankton availability. The psychological impact of a mantis shrimp strike on a human is profound because it dismantles assumptions about scale. The reef often appears as a hierarchy of threats, with larger animals occupying the apex of danger. The mantis shrimp disrupts this narrative by demonstrating that mechanical innovation can compensate for size. A creature measuring only a fraction of a meter can deliver a blow capable of breaking glass in confined circumstances. The injury does not need to be fatal to be transformative. It shifts perception. Ecologically, mantis shrimp contribute to reef biodiversity by creating burrows that other organisms may later inhabit. Abandoned burrows provide shelter for small fish or crustaceans, enhancing habitat complexity. Their predation on hard-shelled invertebrates prevents certain species from dominating substrate surfaces, indirectly supporting coral recruitment. In this way, the mantis shrimp's violent strike is embedded within a broader web of ecological regulation. The worst thing a mantis shrimp can do to a human is therefore not annihilation, but revelation. It reveals that power in marine ecosystems does not scale linearly with size. It reveals that defensive and predatory adaptations can reach extremes even within compact bodies. The encounter transforms curiosity into caution, replacing casual confidence with respect for the unseen mechanics within reef cavities. In the shallow pools where waves retreat and return, the mantis shrimp waits within its burrow, eyes swiveling, appendages poised. The reef around it hums with activity, each organism carrying adaptations refined over millions of years. When a careless hand intrudes, the strike lands not as a warning but as a demonstration. The pain is sharp, the shock immediate, and the lesson enduring. Within the vastness of the ocean, not all dangers announce themselves through size. Some emerge from the smallest shadows, armed with physics as precise as any predator's tooth. The first sign is not a fin, nor a shadow, nor even a ripple that a trained eye might interpret as warning. It is a pressure change in the water that the human body cannot decode quickly enough, followed by a detonation of force from below that fractures calm into chaos. In the coastal margins, where temperate currents collide with nutrient upwellings, the great white shark moves as a quiet architecture of muscle and cartilage, its pale underside designed to vanish into the glare of the surface, its darker back dissolving into the deeper blue when seen from above. This countershading is not decorative. It is an evolutionary refinement of invisibility in a three-dimensional hunting ground. To a seal, scanning for danger from above, the shark is a depthless void. To a swimmer gazing downward, it is simply another shadow among many, until it is no longer a shadow, but an accelerating mass, transferring hundreds of kilograms of momentum through a single, upward vector. In ecological terms, the great white shark occupies the apex of a dynamic coastal food web. It is not merely a large predator, but a regulator of marine mammal populations, particularly pinnipeds, whose own feeding behaviors influence fish communities and benthic ecosystems. The shark's presence alters prey behavior long before contact ever occurs, creating what marine ecologists describe as a landscape of fear in the water column. Seals adjust haul-out times, alter swimming paths, and cluster in shallower zones when white sharks patrol offshore. This invisible pressure cascades downward through trophic levels, influencing how fish schools move and where smaller predators forage. Yet when humans enter this system, they do so without having evolved any of the sensory filters or escape strategies that the shark's natural prey possess. There is no inherited template in the human nervous system for interpreting the minute oscillations of a large laminid shark rising from depth at speed. The great white's anatomy is built for violent acceleration over short distances. Its body is powered by massive red and white muscle groups, arranged along a torpedo-shaped frame supported by a cartilaginous skeleton that allows both strength and flexibility. Unlike most fish, the great white maintains a body temperature that is partially elevated above the surrounding water, thanks to a countercurrent heat exchange system known as the rete mirabile. This physiological trait enhances muscle performance in colder seas, allowing for explosive bursts of speed in environments that would otherwise slow a strictly cold-blooded predator. When a white shark launches from below, it converts stored metabolic energy into vertical thrust, often breaching completely from the water in pursuit of seals at the surface. The spectacle is dramatic above water, but beneath the surface, it is an ambush optimized for catastrophic impact. For a human in the water, the worst-case scenario is not a prolonged pursuit, but a single well-placed strike. The shark approaches from beneath, its silhouette masked by surface glare. In the final seconds, it angles upward, jaws opening to reveal rows of serrated triangular teeth designed not for gripping, but for slicing. Unlike the narrow needle-like teeth of fish specialists, the white shark's dentition functions like a battery of industrial blades, capable of cutting through thick blubber and bone. When these teeth close around a limb or torso, the force involved can exceed several thousand newtons, sufficient to sever muscle groups and fracture skeletal structures in a single motion. The impact alone can destabilize a human body, disorienting the victim before the injury is even processed by the brain. It is important to understand that in many recorded incidents, the white shark does not continue to feed on the human after the initial bite. From a biological standpoint, humans do not resemble the high-fat marine mammals that form the shark's primary diet. However, the investigative bite of a predator weighing over a metric ton is not exploratory in the gentle sense implied by the word. The shark samples the object in its environment with its mouth because it lacks manipulative appendages. Its teeth are both tools of assessment and instruments of feeding. Even a brief bite, followed by immediate release, can remove entire sections of tissue. The water, once clear, becomes opaque with blood, and blood in seawater disperses rapidly but signals across considerable distances to other predators. In that moment, the threat multiplies beyond the original encounter. The catastrophic element lies not only in tissue damage, but in the compounding physiological effects that follow. Massive blood loss in water is particularly dangerous because it combines with the loss of buoyancy control and the risk of inhaling seawater. Shock can set in quickly as the cardiovascular system attempts to compensate for rapid volume depletion. Cold water accelerates the progression toward hypothermia, especially if the victim is immobilized. Unlike injuries sustained on land, where immediate pressure can be applied and emergency services may be minutes away, an injury at sea unfolds in an unstable medium. The ocean does not pause for triage. Waves continue to rise and fall, currents continue to pull, and the injured body must contend not only with trauma, but with the physics of staying afloat. The shark's sensory systems further explain why the event feels instantaneous from a human perspective. Great whites possess an acute sense of smell capable of detecting minute concentrations of organic compounds in the water. More critically, in the final approach, they rely on electroreception, using specialized organs called the ampullae of Lorenzini to detect the faint electrical fields produced by the muscle contractions of prey. Every heartbeat, every kick of a swimmer's legs generates bioelectric signals that propagate through seawater. To a white shark moving through a hunting corridor near a seal colony, these signals are informational beacons. Turbid water, poor visibility, or low light do not significantly diminish this sensory capacity. The shark does not need to see clearly to strike accurately. The element of surprise is thus not incidental, but structural to the shark's strategy. Evolution has favored individuals that minimize energy expenditure while maximizing caloric return. A high-speed ambush from depth reduces the need for extended pursuit, conserving metabolic resources in an environment where energy budgets are tightly balanced. The ocean is vast, and prey is not uniformly distributed. Each failed chase carries a cost. The upward breach, although spectacular, is economically rational in evolutionary terms. When directed at a seal, it is a precise solution to a prey species that spends much of its time scanning horizontally rather than vertically. When misdirected toward a human silhouette at the surface, the same strategy produces devastating consequences. There is also a structural mismatch between human morphology and marine predation dynamics. Humans are upright bipeds with limbs extended, creating a fragmented silhouette when seen from below. A surfer lying on a board can resemble the profile of a pinniped, particularly in low visibility conditions or at dawn and dusk when many predatory interactions peak. The great white's brain, although sophisticated among fishes, operates within an ecological framework shaped over millions of years. It assesses size, movement pattern, and energetic payoff in fractions of a second. Once committed to the strike, inertia carries the body forward. A shark weighing over 1,000 kilograms cannot reverse course instantaneously. The psychological dominance of the great white shark in human culture stems in part from this compression of time. Other marine dangers develop gradually. A jellyfish tentacle drifts into view. A rip current tugs persistently at the legs. A storm builds on the horizon. In contrast, the white shark encounter collapses anticipation into aftermath. Survivors often describe the experience as an explosion from nowhere, followed by disorientation and silence beneath the surface. This suddenness magnifies fear because it denies the illusion of control. Humans are terrestrial primates who have extended their reach into the ocean through technology, yet our bodies remain poorly adapted to rapid stabilization in deep water. From a conservation perspective, it is essential to recognize that such attacks are statistically rare relative to the immense scale of human ocean use. Great white sharks are themselves vulnerable to overfishing, habitat degradation, and prey depletion. They mature slowly, produce relatively few offspring, and occupy high trophic positions that make them sensitive to ecosystem imbalance. Removing apex predators can trigger mesopredator release, altering the structure of marine communities in ways that ripple outward. The very animal that evokes fear plays a stabilizing role in maintaining healthy coastal systems. This dual reality complicates the narrative. The same biological traits that render the shark ecologically invaluable also make it capable of catastrophic harm under specific circumstances. The worst thing a great white shark can do to a human, therefore, is not rooted in malice, but in evolutionary efficiency. It is the convergence of mass, speed, serrated dentition, and sensory precision in a medium where humans lack traction and leverage. It is the upward ambush that converts stored muscular energy into shredding force. It is the transformation of clear water into a red haze that signals both injury and vulnerability. It is the initiation of shock, blood loss, and drowning risk in a single violent sequence. And it is the stark reminder that beneath the surface of temperate seas operates a predator whose biology was honed for decisive, tissue-destroying impact long before humans ever ventured offshore. In that recognition lies a deeper understanding of marine ecosystems. The great white shark is not a rogue entity lurking at the edge of civilization, but a product of evolutionary pressures that reward precision and power. Its presence shapes the behavior of entire communities of marine organisms. When humans intersect with this system, the encounter is governed by physics and physiology rather than narrative intent. The catastrophic trauma of a white shark strike is an ecological event translated into human consequence. It is a demonstration of what apex predation looks like when scaled against a species that does not belong to the water in the same way. At low tide, the lagoon appears harmless, almost pastoral in its calm. Sunlight glides across a mosaic of sand patches, coral rubble, and algae-coated rock. revealing a landscape textured by wave action and grazing fish. Parrotfish scrape the reef with grinding jaws that echo faintly through the water. Small wrasses weave between branching corals, hunting for crustaceans. The water is shallow enough that a person can stand comfortably, the sandy bottom shifting slightly beneath each step as fine sediment lifts and resettles in gentle plumes. In this quiet theater of tropical life, the greatest danger is not moving. It is not chasing. It is not even visible. It is lying motionless on the seabed, indistinguishable from stone, waiting for pressure rather than pursuit. The stonefish embodies one of evolution's most unsettling strategies, complete ecological disguise combined with defensive venom delivered through mechanical force. Its body is squat and irregular, mottled in browns, greys, and algae green patterns that mirror the surrounding reef substrate. Skin flaps and fleshy appendages break up the outline of its form, mimicking the texture of encrusted rock. Sediment often settles across its back, further blending it into the bottom. Unlike predators that rely on speed or stealth in motion, the stonefish relies on absolute stillness. It becomes terrain. To passing fish and unwary humans alike, it is not an organism, but part of the reef's architecture. This camouflage serves a dual ecological purpose. As an ambush predator, the stonefish positions itself in sandy channels or among coral outcrops where small fish and crustaceans forage. Its upward-facing mouth is large relative to its body, capable of expanding rapidly to generate suction. When prey approaches within range, the stonefish executes one of the fastest feeding strikes among fishes, opening its jaws and expanding its buccal cavity in a fraction of a second. The sudden drop in pressure draws water and prey inward before the fish can react. The event is over almost before it begins, a hydraulic capture powered not by pursuit, but by proximity. Camouflage is therefore both shield and weapon, allowing the stonefish to conserve energy while maximizing feeding efficiency in nutrient-rich shallows. Yet the same morphological traits that allow this fish to feed undetected also create the conditions for human injury. Along the dorsal surface of its body runs a row of stout, sharp spines connected to venom glands at their base. These spines are not actively deployed in attack. They are structural components of the fish's defense system, angled backward and embedded within the skin until pressure forces them upright. When stepped on, the weight of a human foot compresses the fish's body downward, driving the spines upward with significant force. The venom glands at the base of each spine are then squeezed, injecting venom into the wound. This mechanism is brutally efficient because it harnesses the intruder's own body weight to facilitate envenomation. The venom of the stonefish is complex, containing proteins that disrupt cell membranes, affect neuromuscular transmission, and provoke intense inflammatory responses. The immediate sensation following envenomation is often described as excruciating, radiating outward from the puncture site and escalating rapidly. The pain can be so severe that it overwhelms concentration and coordination, particularly in shallow water where footing is already unstable. Swelling may develop quickly, and in some cases, systemic symptoms such as nausea, weakness, and cardiovascular disturbances can occur. While fatalities are rare with prompt medical treatment, the injury represents one of the most agonizing envenomations in marine environments. The cruelty of this interaction lies in its invisibility. Unlike encounters with large predators, there is no silhouette cutting through the water, no chase sequence, no visible warning. The person wading across a reef flat may perceive the seabed as stable and inert. The visual field is dominated by coral heads, seagrass, and sand ripples. The stonefish, flattened against the bottom, merges seamlessly into this backdrop. Even experienced divers can overlook one at close range. In this context, the fish's defensive strategy transforms the seabed itself into a latent hazard. From an evolutionary perspective, such potent venom is costly to produce. Venom synthesis requires metabolic investment, and natural selection tends to favor efficiency. The stonefish's venom is primarily defensive, deterring predation by larger animals. Reef environments host numerous predators capable of crushing or swallowing smaller fishes. By equipping itself with venomous spines, the stonefish reduces the likelihood of being consumed. The severity of the pain inflicted on potential predators acts as a powerful deterrent. Over evolutionary time, individuals with more effective venom systems would have enjoyed higher survival rates, reinforcing this defensive adaptation. Stonefish are ectothermic, their metabolic rates influenced by ambient water temperature. In warm tropical waters, their activity levels increase, and feeding opportunities abound due to the high biodiversity of reef systems. Coral reefs themselves are thermally sensitive ecosystems, thriving within narrow temperature ranges. As climate change alters sea temperatures and increases bleaching events, reef structure and species composition shift. These changes can indirectly influence stonefish distribution and abundance by altering prey availability and habitat complexity. The stonefish's reliance on camouflage ties it intimately to reef texture and color. Degradation of coral systems may therefore affect its concealment effectiveness and ecological niche. The relationship between stonefish and reef communities extends beyond predation and defense. Their presence influences the behavior of smaller fish that learn to recognize subtle patterns in substrate irregularities. Some species of reef fish exhibit heightened caution in sandy channels where stonefish are common, altering foraging paths and movement speed. This learned avoidance contributes to microhabitat structuring within the reef ecosystem. The stonefish, despite its immobility, shapes spatial behavior around it, a reminder that ecological influence does not require constant motion. For humans, the injury scenario unfolds rapidly. A foot presses down on what appears to be firm substrate. In the next instant, sharp spines penetrate soft tissue, delivering venom directly into muscle. The body's immediate reaction may include withdrawal reflexes that destabilize balance. In shallow water, a sudden collapse can submerge the face briefly, increasing risk of inhalation of water. Panic compounds the situation, especially if the individual is far from assistance or unaware of the source of pain. The shock of unexpected agony in what was perceived as safe footing intensifies psychological distress. The treatment of stonefish envenomation often involves immersion of the affected limb in hot water, which can help denature certain venom components and reduce pain. Antivenom exists in some regions, administered in severe cases. The need for rapid medical response highlights the venom's potency and the importance of awareness in reef environments. Protective footwear designed for reef walking can reduce the likelihood of spine penetration, illustrating how human adaptation can mitigate ecological risk when informed by biological understanding. There is a subtle irony in the stonefish's strategy. It is not aggressive. It does not seek confrontation. Its survival depends on remaining unseen and undisturbed. Yet the very stillness that ensures its ecological success also creates the conditions for human misfortune. The fish's defense mechanism is activated only when external pressure compresses its body. In effect, the human becomes the trigger for their own injury, applying force that converts passive spines into venomous needles. The seabed itself becomes complicit in the event, masking the organism beneath. In reef ecosystems, survival strategies often converge around camouflage, venom, and energy conservation. The stonefish exemplifies this triad. By minimizing movement, it conserves energy in environments where currents and wave action constantly reshape the substrate. By blending into the reef, it maximizes feeding success while reducing predation risk. By deploying venom only when physically compressed, it avoids unnecessary expenditure of defensive resources. Each trait interlocks with environmental pressures, producing a species finely tuned to shallow tropical habitats. The worst thing the stonefish does to a human is not an act of pursuit, but an act of revelation. It reveals that the boundary between organism and environment can dissolve completely. The ground beneath one's feet is not inert but alive, equipped with biological defenses honed over millions of years. In a single step, calm can shift to crisis, and the illusion of safety can fracture into searing pain. Yet this is not malevolence. It is the outcome of evolutionary logic operating within a complex reef system. To walk across a tropical reef flat is to traverse a living mosaic where every rock may host life adapted to survive in intricate ways. The stonefish, motionless and camouflaged, represents one of the most refined expressions of defensive evolution in shallow marine ecosystems. Its venomous spines transform simple contact into profound consequence, turning ordinary footing into potential catastrophe. The lesson embedded within this encounter is ecological humility. In environments shaped by biodiversity and adaptation, even the ground may conceal mechanisms far beyond human expectation. The reef at mid-depth appears almost theatrical in its color. Hard corals rise in layered terraces, their calcium carbonate skeletons forming labyrinths of shadow and light. Soft corals sway with tidal rhythm, polyps extended into passing currents that carry plankton and microscopic nutrients. Clouds of chromis hover above branching coral heads, flashing silver as they pivot in unison. A diver moving slowly through this environment might feel suspended within a living cathedral. Buoyancy, fine-tuned, breath steady, exhalations rising in soft columns toward the surface. Among the coral spires drifts an animal that seems less like a predator and more like a ceremonial ornament, its fins unfurled like lace fans, its striped body patterned in bold bands of red, white, and brown. The lionfish does not rush. It does not flee. It hovers with deliberate calm, as though confident that its elaborate display is shield enough. That confidence is not aesthetic, but anatomical. The lionfish carries along its dorsal, pelvic, and anal fins a series of rigid spines connected to venom glands at their base. These spines are not hidden in secrecy. They are displayed prominently, radiating outward in a geometry that makes the fish appear larger than it is. The fleshy fin membranes between them ripple with each pulse of the pectoral fins, creating a visual field that warns without aggression. Unlike predators that conceal their weapons, the lionfish advertises them. In ecological terms, this is aposematism, a strategy in which conspicuous coloration signals toxicity or danger. The stripes are not camouflage but caution, a biological declaration that contact will carry consequences. The reef community has learned to interpret this signal. Small fish that might otherwise dart close to investigate maintain distance. Groupers and larger predators, though capable of consuming lionfish under certain circumstances, approach with measured precision or avoid them entirely. The venom delivered by lionfish spines is not designed to paralyze prey in the way that some venomous predators subdue victims. Instead, it functions primarily as a defensive deterrent. The glands at the base of each spine produce venom-containing proteins that interfere with cellular function and provoke intense pain responses. When pressure is applied to the spine, the thin integumentary sheath covering it ruptures, allowing venom to enter the wound channel. The mechanism is passive yet effective, activated by force rather than pursuit. In their native Indo-Pacific range, lionfish occupy coral reefs, rocky outcrops, and mangrove margins, hunting small fish and crustaceans primarily during crepuscular hours. They employ a distinctive hunting strategy that reveals unexpected behavioral sophistication. Using their broad pectoral fins, lionfish herd prey into confined spaces against reef walls or corners. Some observations suggest coordinated hunting between individuals, where two lionfish align their movements to corral prey more efficiently. They may even use directed water jets from their mouths to disorient small fish, increasing capture success. These behaviors demonstrate that beneath the ornamental exterior lies a predator attuned to spatial manipulation and energy conservation within structurally complex habitats. Yet it is not predation that defines the lionfish's worst impact on humans. It is the intersection between human curiosity and venomous anatomy. Divers, snorkelers, and reef walkers often approach lionfish closely, drawn by their beauty and apparent tranquility. The fish's slow movements can be misinterpreted as docility. A careless hand placed against rock for stabilization, an attempt to capture a photograph at too close a range, or an unguarded step on reef substrate can bring skin into contact with a spine. In that instant, the mechanical pressure drives the spine deeper, and venom enters tissue. The pain that follows can be immediate and severe. Envenomation by lionfish spines typically produces intense localized pain that may radiate along the affected limb. Swelling develops as inflammatory mediators respond to venom components. The toxins can influence neuromuscular transmission and vascular tone, sometimes causing dizziness, weakness, or nausea. While fatalities are rare and systemic effects are generally less severe than those of certain jellyfish or stonefish, the intensity of pain alone can compromise function. In open water, this is not merely a medical inconvenience. It is a destabilizing event. Pain alters breathing patterns. A diver who suddenly experiences severe pain in the hand may instinctively gasp, disrupting carefully regulated inhalation and exhalation cycles. Increased respiratory rate can lead to rapid air consumption from scuba tanks, reducing available bottom time and creating urgency. Buoyancy control, which depends on calm and precise adjustments, may falter as the diver's focus shifts entirely to the injured limb. The reef environment, though vibrant and visually stunning, is not forgiving of abrupt ascents or uncontrolled movements. Rising too quickly risks decompression complications. Losing grip on stable footing in surge conditions can push a diver into coral, compounding injury. The venom itself does not restrain the diver, but the cascade of physiological and psychological responses can. The ecological irony of the lionfish becomes particularly pronounced in regions where it has become invasive, such as parts of the Western Atlantic and Caribbean. Introduced through aquarium releases, lionfish have established populations in ecosystems lacking natural predators attuned to their venomous defenses. Their reproductive strategy contributes to rapid expansion. Females release gelatinous egg masses containing thousands of eggs at frequent intervals, allowing population growth to outpace predation pressure. In invaded habitats, lionfish predation on juvenile reef fish can significantly reduce recruitment of native species, altering community structure and potentially impacting reef resilience. Thus, the lionfish's beauty masks not only personal risk to humans, but broader ecological disruption. In invaded systems, human interaction with lionfish has taken on a new dimension. Divers participate in culling efforts, using spears or specialized collection tools to reduce populations. In these contexts, the risk of envenomation increases due to handling. Even experienced individuals must exercise caution when securing captured lionfish, as spines remain venomous even after death for a period of time. The venom proteins degrade with heat, and cooked lionfish flesh is safe to consume, leading to culinary initiatives that promote targeted fishing as a management strategy. This interplay between ecological threat and gastronomic solution adds complexity to the human-lionfish relationship. From a physiological standpoint, lionfish venom is heat labial, meaning that immersion of the affected limb in hot water can reduce pain by denaturing venom proteins. This treatment underscores the biochemical nature of the injury. The venom is not a lingering toxin that spreads uncontrollably, but a targeted injection designed to discourage predation. However, the time between injury and treatment matters greatly in aquatic environments. A snorkeler stung far from shore may need to navigate back through waves and currents while enduring severe pain. A diver may need to manage ascent procedures carefully despite compromised concentration. The reef itself adds layers to the scenario. Coral structures are sharp and fragile. Surge can push swimmers unpredictably. Visibility may fluctuate with plankton blooms or sediment stirred by storms. In such dynamic conditions, even minor impairment can escalate risk. The lionfish does not chase, yet its defensive architecture transforms a moment of carelessness into a chain reaction. The injury begins locally, but radiates outward through physiology and circumstance. Lionfish thermoregulation follows ectothermic principles, with activity levels influenced by ambient temperature. Warmer waters can increase metabolic rate and feeding frequency, contributing to their success in tropical and subtropical habitats. Climate-driven shifts in ocean temperature may facilitate range expansion, exposing new human populations to potential contact. As reef ecosystems adapt to changing conditions, species interactions shift accordingly, and the lionfish remains an adaptable participant. The broader lesson embedded within the lionfish's presence is one of perception versus function. Ornamental appearance does not equate to harmlessness. In evolutionary terms, conspicuous coloration can serve as an honest signal of danger, yet human aesthetic appreciation can override caution. The reef rewards attentiveness and punishes distraction. Each organism within it carries adaptations refined over millennia, and the lionfish's venomous spines represent a defensive refinement rather than an aggressive weapon. The worst effect of a lionfish encounter on a human is therefore not merely the localized sting, but the disruption of stability in an environment where stability is essential. Pain shifts breathing. Pain distorts judgment. Pain interferes with fine motor control at precisely the moment those faculties are required to maintain buoyancy, navigate currents, and return safely to shore or vessel. The reef does not pause during this recalibration. It continues to surge and sway, indifferent to the human experience unfolding within it. In the final assessment, the lionfish exemplifies the quiet potency of defensive evolution. Its elegance conceals a biochemical deterrent that, when triggered, can transform calm exploration into urgent recovery. The encounter need not be dramatic to be consequential. A single spine pressed into skin is enough to initiate a cascade. Within the layered complexity of coral ecosystems, where color and movement can lull observers into comfort, the lionfish stands as a reminder that beauty and hazard often coexist in intricate balance. The tide has turned, and the shallow reef platform is now filling with warm, clear water that glides across coral heads and seagrass beds in a slow, deliberate sheet. The light is bright but diffused by surface ripples, casting moving lattices of gold across the sand. Small fish weave through the grass in synchronized arcs, their bodies flashing as they feed on microscopic organisms stirred by the tide. Farther out, beyond the reef crest, the ocean deepens into cobalt blue. But here, in this intertidal margin, life moves with measured calm. From beneath a patch of coral rubble emerges a slender, banded body that undulates with fluid precision. It does not dart or strike. It glides, head slightly raised, tongue flicking briefly as it samples the chemical composition of the water. This is a sea snake, a reptile that has fully embraced the marine world while retaining the biochemical legacy of its terrestrial ancestors. The sea snake's movement is economical, driven by lateral waves that travel down its compressed body and end in a paddle-shaped tail. Unlike terrestrial snakes that rely on friction against ground surfaces, sea snakes are hydrodynamic specialists. Their lungs extend along much of the body length, functioning not only in respiration but also in buoyancy control. By adjusting air volume, they can fine-tune their position in the water column, hovering above coral heads or descending toward the substrate with subtle precision. Their nostrils are equipped with valves that close automatically upon submersion, and their scales are reduced in size compared to land snakes, minimizing drag. Some species can remain submerged for extended periods, absorbing a small percentage of oxygen directly through their skin, an adaptation that enhances efficiency during prolonged dives. In ecological terms, sea snakes occupy a niche that bridges reef and open water. Many species feed primarily on fish, especially eels and small reef dwellers that hide within crevices. Their venom, delivered through fixed front fangs, is among the most potent of any snake lineage. Unlike vipers that rely on large, hinged fangs to inject substantial volumes of venom, sea snakes possess relatively small fangs and may deliver modest quantities with each bite. However, the potency of their venom compensates for volume. The toxins often include powerful neurotoxins and myotoxins that interfere with neuromuscular transmission and muscle integrity. In prey species, this chemistry induces rapid immobilization, preventing escape within the structurally complex reef habitat. Sea snakes are not aggressive hunters of large animals. Their behavior is generally cautious and deliberate. They navigate reefs with a quiet confidence, often ignoring divers who remain calm and non-threatening. This composure contributes to the psychological complexity of human encounters. The animal does not posture dramatically. It does not rattle or hiss. It may even appear indifferent, weaving gently between coral branches as though unbothered by nearby presence. Yet beneath that calm exterior lies a biochemical arsenal refined through millions of years of evolution in predator-prey arms races. When a sea snake bites a fish, the effect is swift and decisive. The snake often grasps the prey, injects venom, and releases, allowing the immobilized fish to drift before being swallowed headfirst. This strategy reduces the risk of injury from struggling prey in confined reef spaces. The venom acts at the neuromuscular junction, blocking signal transmission between nerves and muscles. In fish, This leads to paralysis that prevents escape. The same mechanism, when introduced into human tissue, can disrupt muscular control in ways that are not immediately visible. The worst human encounter often begins deceptively. A fisherman disentangling nets may grasp a sea snake inadvertently. A diver exploring a crevice may corner one unintentionally. Even a swimmer stepping in shallow water near mangroves may provoke a defensive reaction if the snake feels trapped. The bite itself may be brief and produce only small puncture marks. Pain at the site can be mild or moderate compared to the dramatic agony associated with certain fish or jellyfish stings. This relative subtlety is part of the danger. The absence of overwhelming local pain can create a false sense of reassurance. In the minutes that follow, systemic effects may begin to develop. Muscle weakness can emerge gradually as neurotoxins interfere with neuromuscular transmission. Myotoxins may begin to break down muscle tissue, releasing intracellular components into the bloodstream. Early symptoms might include drooping eyelids, difficulty swallowing, or generalized fatigue. In a terrestrial setting, these signs are alarming but manageable with prompt medical care. In water, they are magnified by environmental demands. Swimming requires coordinated muscle contraction, efficient breathing patterns, and stable orientation. As neuromuscular function declines, even subtle weakness can compromise buoyancy control. Sea snakes possess an additional adaptation that shapes their ecological presence: salt glands beneath the tongue that excrete excess salt absorbed during feeding and immersion. This allows them to maintain osmotic balance in marine conditions without drinking fresh water. Some species migrate seasonally, following temperature gradients and prey abundance across coastal regions. In cooler months, they may congregate in warmer shallows, where metabolic efficiency is maintained. As ectothermic reptiles, their body temperature fluctuates with ambient conditions, influencing activity levels and hunting success. Warmer waters accelerate metabolism and digestion, increasing feeding frequency. These seasonal shifts bring them into closer contact with human coastal activity at predictable times of year. The sea snake's venom evolved to solve the problem of subduing agile prey in three-dimensional coral labyrinths. Unlike terrestrial snakes that may track prey over land, sea snakes operate in a medium where prey can vanish into crevices instantly. Rapid neuromuscular disruption ensures capture efficiency. The potency of the venom reflects the ecological pressures of this environment. It is not designed for intimidation, but for functional immobilization. When that same venom enters a human bloodstream, the physiological cascade is not immediately theatrical. Instead, it is insidious, unfolding as muscle fibers lose responsiveness and respiratory effort becomes labored. The psychological dimension of such an encounter is profound. The individual may initially believe the bite is minor, especially if pain is not severe. In water, where distractions abound and self-assessment may be rushed, the seriousness of envenomation can be underestimated. As weakness progresses, the realization that the body is no longer responding normally can trigger panic. Panic accelerates breathing, increasing oxygen demand at a moment when respiratory muscles may already be compromised. In extreme cases, respiratory failure can occur if the diaphragm and intercostal muscles are sufficiently affected. In the marine environment, this progression is particularly dangerous. The boundary between air and water is unforgiving. Ecologically, sea snakes contribute to reef balance by regulating fish populations, particularly benthic and crevice-dwelling species. Their presence influences prey behavior, encouraging fish to remain alert and mobile. They are themselves prey for larger predators such as sharks and certain birds of prey, though their venom provides a degree of protection. Some species exhibit site fidelity, returning to specific reef structures repeatedly, suggesting spatial memory and habitat preference. Others travel across open water between reef systems, demonstrating navigation abilities that remain an area of active research. The worst capability of a sea snake in human terms is therefore not dramatic violence, but biochemical subtlety. It is the quiet bite that conceals systemic potency. It is the delay between contact and realization. The water around the individual remains unchanged, clear and luminous, while internal processes begin to shift. Muscle fibers weaken. Coordination falters. Breathing becomes effortful. In a terrestrial environment, assistance may be minutes away. In water, even minor impairment can escalate into life-threatening instability. Sea snakes represent a lineage that returned to the ocean and adapted with extraordinary precision. Their flattened tails, elongated lungs, salt-excreting glands, and potent venoms are not random features, but coherent solutions to marine living. They move with an elegance that belies their potential impact. Their calm demeanor often invites underestimation. Yet within that calm lies a chemistry capable of transforming a small puncture into a systemic crisis. The encounter can feel manageable at the exact moment it becomes far more serious. In the layered complexity of reef ecosystems, where beauty and hazard intertwine seamlessly, the sea snake stands as a reminder that subtlety can be as formidable as spectacle.